right, what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God!
There's not much in the kitty except a set of ivory-backed hairbrushes and my library of romantic poetry, but when the time comes, these will be yours, along with whatever we haven't already spent on whores and whiskey.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. How are you? Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it at, whoever you're doing it with, however many times you've done it, however many times you plan on doing it, whyever you're doing it in the first place, I'm just glad you're doing it right here with me, Legal Vices, on this little channel that I like to call Legal Vices. That's how that works out. So how are we all doing again? Sorry, just had a bit of a late start there. Had a few issues, and then as soon as I got the issues resolved, Yoda decided to have his daily 2 minutes, well, his daily 3 minutes of struggle. So there we go. Yoda's getting all of that energy out in the usual 2 minutes. But yeah, there we are. We are doing very, very well over here in Korea. It's 10:08 p.m. We are again foregoing Maritime Monday for just one more week. Today, there's just too much going on. Again, we've got the Russell Brand stuff. We've had a lot of developments in various Murdaugh hearings and related issues. We've got a Sarah Boone update that's way overdue. But I can promise you we will be back with Maritime Monday because I have a very, very interesting interview lined up, hopefully for next week. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the week, but hopefully we will be back with a very interesting, at least what I think was going to be an interesting interview next Monday on Maritime Monday. Well, what are we doing today? First of all, we got to get the daily cocktail out of the way. This is something called a horse's neck. I have no idea why it's called a horse's neck. It just is. And Yoda is spazzing out over here, so chill out there, Yoda. All right, everybody. The cocktail of the day is called a horse's neck. It's a contemporary cocktail. Start out with 2 ounces of cognac. Pour your cognac directly into an ice-filled Collins glass. And then top that off with some ginger ale. For good measure, add 2 dashes of bitters. 1, 2. Then drop in a dried lemon wheel into the mix and put one on the rim for a little bit of decoration. And there you have your horse's neck cocktail. Cheers. It'll be refreshing when the ice chills it out a bit. So there we are. Let's clean that up. Where the hell's the top of my cognac? Here it is. Boom. Right. We got the cognac. Got the bitters out of the way. Where the hell's the top of the bitters? We got the top of the bitters here. I think I'd put everything where it needs to go. Right. So yeah, it's just your basic little cocktail there. A little bit of bitters, a bit of cognac, and top it off with ginger ale. And there you have it. It's a great little cocktail to have around. So as I was saying, we got a lot to cover today. The first thing we really need to get out of the way is the poll of the day, the like and subscribe poll. Not a lot of creativity went in this because I literally sat there for about 15 minutes. What the hell is that? Is that where bitters at? I literally sat there for 15 minutes wondering what I could do for a poll. I couldn't find a way to bring all these 3 elements we need to talk about today all together into a single poll. So I just looked around and I saw Godzilla stuff. So I thought we'd just kind of have a very, very informal Godzilla poll that probably nobody cares about. So again, in line with our normal shenanigans and our like and subscribe poll. Please, everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. YouTube has done it again. Just when I thought I was out of the weeds, overnight, boom, they hit me for 50 more subscribers. Just overnight. You know, it's not like 1 or 2 people just dropping off as they grow disinterested or as we move on to a different topic. It's just within a few hours, 50 people vanish. So, make sure you are still subscribed. I've got a couple of texts over the weekend saying that some of you had been unsubscribed. So there you go. That's where we are. The like and subscribe poll. Once you hit that like button, once you take the subscribe button, once you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and make sure you're still subscribed. Go over and take the like and subscribe poll. Today is, which Godzilla is best Godzilla? The original old school Japanese Godzilla, the 1998 Matthew Broderick Godzilla, the current Fatzilla that's fighting King Kong and whatnot, and the Japanese Shin Godzilla. Surprisingly, there's twice as many people liking the Matthew Broderick Godzilla as there are the current Fatzilla and the Shin Godzilla. Wow, that's surprising, and it calls into question your sanity. But there you have it. Right. Oh, it's not just me. It's with everybody. There, Hayden, Ozzy Overlord's getting hit. Other people are getting hit. So it's just a thing YouTube does every now and then, and we've got to deal with it. And so that's why I'm saying they will unsubscribe you unilaterally. You won't even know. You'll like, hey, I haven't seen Lorax for a while, so why not? And you'll go, oh my God, I've been unsubscribed. So just double check to make sure you're still subscribed. That's it. That's all we're going to say about that. We have a lot of ground to cover and not much time to cover it in. So we're going to start out with the main topic of the evening. Well, with the first main, we got three main topics. It's a three-ring circus here tonight. Let's talk about Russell Brand. I personally don't care for Russell Brand. I never thought he was funny when he was a comedian. I don't think he has decent acting skills, so I never liked him as an actor. And this whole new persona he has as a well-being guru, I think is just absurd. He's so far up his own ass that it's kind of hard for him to breathe, I think. I just don't like his personality. I don't like this faux, intellectual thing that he puts on. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a well-read guy, but he's so self-referential. He's sort of like Dennis Miller of like gurudom, I guess, where there's just too much going on. And I don't like him. So don't think I'm being a Russell Brand stan here, because I'm not. And I have no idea who these women are that have come forth because they're largely anonymous to you and I. So I have zero ponies in this show. And as we always talk about where we are talking about people that are accused of things, it's what the evidence shows. What do we know so far? What does the evidence show? What has been proven by objective evidence? And so far in this case, the big answer to that is nothing. So I'm going to repeat what I always say. Right now, nobody should have an opinion on whether he did or did not do the things he's been accused of, other than himself and the people that are doing the accusing. Those are the only people right now that actually know what really happened. We've got to see what evidence is brought to the table before you and I can judge. Just to read an article you're reading an article of someone who said something to a reporter who's gone through an editor, that's done all this other stuff, and eventually come to you as a reader. I think that's incredibly irresponsible to make a decision based on just reading an article. And just looking at Twitter, the original article, very, very, very few people that are commenting on this and giving their opinions have actually read that article. They're just, forwarding it and either virtue signaling or brand shaming. The article's behind a paywall, so unless you found a way around the paywall, Nate the Lawyer's Twitter feed has it. Unless you found a way around that paywall, or you are a paying subscriber to the newspaper, then you haven't read it. You may have heard about it. You may have read bits and pieces, but if you're not a subscriber to the Sunday Times or have found a way around it, you haven't read it. So, I mean, even that is a huge disservice. Before you comment, make sure, and that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to read all the parts that we can read on YouTube of this very lengthy article. And this is the beginning of any consideration. There's a lot of allegations that are made here in this article, and it's up to us to keep an open mind. We can't say, oh, I know Russell. Even if you know Russell Brand, you may not know Russell Brand. Even if you know any of these accusers, you may not know any of these accusers. So we have to keep our open mind to say, well, let's see. I might be wrong with whatever opinion I have, or better yet, don't have an opinion yet, which is where I am. Yeah, because anything can happen. I've seen enough in my life that I know that people are not always as they seem, and sometimes people have motives. Some people lie on either side. I'm not saying who it is or which one, but because I don't know. So we're going to first go through this article and look at what I think are some salient points, and look at what I can see to be problematic points on both sides. And we'll have to see what comes out of this. Because right now, nothing. Right now, it's allegations in a newspaper. That's it. No, none of these people have visited a police station to make an official police report. Nobody's filed a civil lawsuit. Nobody's even mentioned their own names in public. Nobody has done anything to establish these claims or to provide evidence. And those of you that are going, Russell Brand, what was your position during Amber Heard and Johnny Depp as far as evidence goes? Are you holding Russell Brand to the same standard of evidence that you held Amber Heard to, and vice versa? So keep these things in mind as we go through this, because there's some doozies here. There's some doozies. Before we do, let's see if we have any. We have no membership chats or super chats to get to yet. We will read those as they come in. There is not much else going on, so as soon as they come up, we will address them. All righty. Let's see. Let's bring up the article. Because it was behind a paywall, I just copied and pasted into a Word document here just to make it easier. And then that way I can highlight things and gray out areas that we can't or just don't want to read. So let's see. Share screen. Share screen. That's not the screen we want to share this window. There we go. Boom. Right. Okay. Yeah, Russell Brand accused of stuff there in the headline. 4 women, including one who was just 16, make allegations after an investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 dispatches. This all broke on Saturday. Let's change the size here. That's kind of what she said. Right. Can we do this? Is that too extreme? That's not too extreme, is it? We can do this. All right. Because I want you to see me and I want to see the article at the same time. One click in. There we go. All right. I've made some highlights here of areas that I think are interesting and those that are problematic, and the rest is kind of fillery. So we'll go through this and talk about it as we go along. Oh, see, that's my problem with him as an entertainer, as a person or whatever. He says a lot of big words that I don't understand. And if you listen to him, he doesn't understand some of them as well. And a lot of it is like, I'm using big words. Well, if you've ever read the book, The Tao of Pooh, which is a great book, the Tao of Pooh, like Winnie the Pooh, not excrement poo. The Tao of Pooh is a great book where they talk about being educated for the sake of being educated, or sounding educated for the sake of getting pats on the back for being educated. And that's kind of what I think that Russell Brand does as a person. He uses the big words to get people to, ooh, he knows big words. He must be a well-being guru. But we're not here to talk about my personal. I just wanted you to know that I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, a Russell Brand stan. Hey, Merms, what's up? Merms, long time no see, still here. Just wanted to drop by to show my support. I've liked it. Can't stay long. I'm still at work, but I'll be lurking. Hey, everybody, just make sure you do that if that's where you are. Here we go. The comedian and actor Russell Brand has been accused of this essay and emotional abuse during a 7-year period at the height of his fame. 4 women have alleged SA between 2006 and 2013, while he was a presenter for BBC Radio 2, Channel 4, and then an actor in Hollywood films. Others have made a range of accusations about Brand's controlling, abusive, and predatory behavior. Now, one thing as we go through here, I want you to consider what is illegal behavior and what is just creepy behavior. Being a creep, being a pig, being a disgusting human being is not in and of itself illegal. I mean, you can be a scumbag. You can be a womanizing, misogynist scumbag. You can be a control freak. That's not a crime. Look at the things that you separate that here. Is he a creep or is he a criminal? 4 women have alleged this, predatory behavior. Brand denied the allegations and said his relationships have all been consensual. The findings come from a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 dispatches. Now, here's a little bit of a breakdown of the 4 claims that have been made against him. The 4 allegations, not claims. One woman alleges that Brand raped her against her will, against a wall in his Los Angeles home. She was treated at a crisis center on the same day, according to medical records. Texts show that in the hours after leaving his house, she told Brand that she had been scared by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, "When a girl says no, it means no." Brand replied saying he was very sorry. I say that is a mischaracterization of this text that we're going to look at a little bit later. When a girl says no, she means no, very sorry. We'll look at that when we get down to her specific allegations, but I think that's a little bit of a misrepresentation of what was said. Or it's one interpretation of what was said. Exactly. Your own personal thoughts on Brand or any of these other women, if you happen to know them, shouldn't bias your coverage or your opinion on the matter. A second woman alleges that Brand assaulted her when she was 31 and she was 16, and when he was 31 and she was 16 and still at school. She said he referred to her as the child during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship. Again, is a controlling relationship, is that a crime? No. That lasted about 3 months. Is really a relationship for 3 months, and that Brand once forced his junk down her throat, making her choke. She says she tried to push him off, and she said she had to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. A third woman claims that he SA'd her while she worked with him in Los Angeles, and that he threatened. Boy, I'm getting ahead of myself here. And that he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegation. The fourth described being SA'd by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. Well, the green kind of highlights problematic points. All said they felt ready to speak. When did they all come independently? Did they all come and say, "Hey, we have no"? All said they felt ready to speak only after being approached by reporters. They were all perfectly happy being silent about this and not bringing it up for nearly 20 years. And only after reporters approached them and discussed them did they decide to come forward and tell their story. Several said that they felt compelled to do so given Brand's newfound prominence as an online wellness influencer with millions of followers on YouTube and other sites. You set yourself on a mountain peak and someone's going to try to knock you off of it. And again, this does not mean none of this happened. It just means I think we should look at this with a healthy dose of reality and say, okay, again, there's a million reasons why someone might not want to come forward immediately or months or weeks or maybe even a year or so after, but to sit there and not do anything for 20 years and then only come forward after you have been approached by reporters, it raises questions and concerns. The others have accused him of physical and emotional abuse, SA, and bullying. Most of the women who do not know each other have chosen to remain anonymous. They mean the only one that has put her name out there is one that already talked about the stuff in a book. But the 4 main women that came forward here and made these allegations, they have chosen to remain anonymous. And if you go look through my Twitter feed, there's a bunch of people on there going, they're not anonymous. He knows who they are. The reporters know who they are. Just you don't know who they are. Right here, you have the actual news article itself saying they choose to remain anonymous. So don't play word games with me. Don't bandy this about. Don't, try to twist things around. They are anonymous as far as everyone else on planet Earth is concerned, except for the reporters and Russell Brand. That's anonymity. If you want to get that, there's nobody on Earth that's totally anonymous, because somebody knows who they are. That's not the colloquial meaning of anonymous. So don't try to put that in. They are choosing to remain anonymous. So we have people that allege something happened to them horribly 15, 16, 20 years ago that only came forward when they were asked to by reporters, and they still haven't put their name to the story. They still haven't put their names to the story. So we don't know who's making the allegations. you know, and we don't know why it took so long. Over the past few years, reporters have interviewed hundreds of sources who knew or worked with Brand. Hundreds of sources, and there's only 4 that have come forward and made these allegations, and there's a whole bunch of other people that have said he's kind of a dirtbag, but only these 4 have come forward apparently and said horrible things thus far. Although there's rumors, there's little hints, there's little kind of wisps out there in the breeze that some other people may be coming forward. Daily Quick Bites says Legal Vices, how do you know they don't know each other? That's the rhetorical you, by the way. Well, apparently, maybe I guess the newspaper reporter asked them, do you guys know each other? And they said, no, I don't know. But anyway, ex-girlfriends and their friends and family, comedians and other celebrities, people who worked with them on radio and TV and senior staff at the BBC, Channel 4, and other media organizations. They've talked to a lot of people over years. They've been digging for dirt. Have they been equally digging for dirt on the people that are making these allegations? Have we seen if they've made other allegations against other people? And again, I'm not victim blaming here because I don't know if there is a victim. I just don't know. And I think the whole believe all women all the time, that boat has sailed long ago. If you're going to make an allegation against someone that could destroy them, destroy their career, destroy their livelihood, and possibly put them in the slammer for a good long time, you better put your name to it and you better throw down the evidence. Otherwise, I'm inclined not to believe you. But so they've been hunting. They've been talking. They've been investigating for years, trying to find the dirt on him. Have they been looking equally as skeptically at the claims, or are they just accepting that these claims are read? Only time will tell, I guess. Brand, oh, here we go. Where do we hear? Along with these interviews, reporters have seen private emails and text messages, submitted freedom of information requests, viewed medical and therapist notes, scrutinized Brand's books and interviews, and watched and listened to hundreds of hours of his shows on the BBC, Channel 4, YouTube to corroborate allegations. Nothing is under oath. There's no, they may see, and this is where we're going off of second, if not third-hand information. Someone tells the reporter something. The reporter writes something. It goes through their various layers of editorialization, their editorial review and whatnot, and then it comes to you and you make an opinion. You're getting second, if not third-hand, and they say that they've looked at the text messages. We'll talk a little bit more about the text messages later. They've said they've seen medical and therapist notes, and those therapist notes are going to contain things that the person told them. Has it been factually verified that this is what happened that they put in there? So you could be, someone could be embellishing, someone could be hiding, someone could be obfuscating, someone could be saying something that gets in a therapist's notes. That therapist tells the reporter puts it in paper, and by the time it gets to you, you're again third or fourth hand out. That's why I want to see specific evidence from the people making the accusations to back up their claims. And if these claims are true, he should probably be buried 6 feet under the ground in some unmarked graves on the hillside somewhere. So just let me get that out right now. If these actually turn out to be, if these are substantiated to the point where I feel they've been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, yeah. Brand, who is now 48, he's only 48. He looks like he's like 60. Jeez. Before we read this, let's not get too far out of the way here. Pampered Shelley with a $1.99 super chat says, "Good morning from Texas. Glad to catch you live. I'm glad you caught us live too. Thank you so much, Pampered Shelley, for kicking us off on the super chats for tonight." And Classy One with the $4.99, just $4.99 super chat, throwing it out there in the breeze. Thank you so much for that. Very, very much appreciated. Yeah, a lot of drugs can contribute to looking a little bit older than you are at 48. Brand, who is now 48, has managed to maintain his fame for the past 2 decades through reinvention. Good, we should all reinvent ourselves. First as a stand-up comedian, known for debauchery, before becoming a primetime Channel 4 TV host, BBC star, Hollywood actor, and most recently a wellness guru and anti-establishment influencer with millions of followers online. As he's trying to set himself up to be the UK's answer to Joe Rogan, and it's just not there for me. Throughout his career, Brand's material has acknowledged his sex addiction addiction, and he has often publicly joked about his predatory behavior and sex life. Okay, this is one thing that's problematic to him. This is a problematic thing for Brand because this is true. He's admitted to it. He talks about it. He talks about overcoming it. He's written books. He's done countless interviews on it. But this is part of his humor. And we know, and we're going to be talking a little bit about him later, Jimmy Savile, one of the most notorious, cheese pizza PDF files in history, also joked about being this way openly and sort of hiding in plain sight. So there's going to be comparisons made here, especially when we get a little bit of information coming out later. So this is kind of a negative for Brand, that he has had this, and he has admitted to it, because that's going to stigmatize him in people's head. Should it? Probably not, but it's going to. They're going to go, oh yeah, he's been joking about this for years. And they're going to say, hey, he was joking about it, so he probably did it. That should not be done, but it's going to be, because people are human, most of them. There were rumors of more sinister behavior. Rumors said to be discussed as an open secret by senior TV and radio executives and among female comedians who warned each other of his behavior. But the women involved previously felt unable to speak out. Okay. Their stories, now told publicly for the first time, shine a light on Brand's mistreatment of women behind closed doors, alleged mistreatment of women behind closed doors, and on the industries that enabled him. See, the article, I mean, they're going to go back on their research. They're going to lie back on that and go, okay, we've done it. We've made our conclusions. Well, share those conclusions and also share all of the evidence that you looked at to arrive at these conclusions. I mean, that's going to take the people themselves doing it, either in court or out of court or some other way, because they control access to their records, their medical records and whatnot. The Times and the Sunday Times gave Brandt 8 days in which to reply to detailed allegations, including information to enable him to recall the alleged incident. So they gave him the ultimatum: reply in 8 days or we go with his article. That's just a thing. I don't like when they do that. We do that all the time as lawyers. You have until the end of business next Friday to reply. Otherwise, we will have no alternative but to consider possibly taking legal recourse to protect our clients' interests and to preserve their claim rights. And of course, they're going to say nothing or tell us to go get stuff normally. So they gave him time to reply. Lawyers for Brand initially, they did reply, and they said that they were not in a position to provide any response to the allegations because we had posed a large litany of questions. See, they put them in quotes like they hadn't actually done it, but you know damn well they did provide a huge amount of questions and had intentionally chosen to anonymize the names of the women. Exactly. How do you want us to respond to something when you don't even tell us who's making the allegations? That's one thing that we have here in the U.S. and in England. We have the right to face our accuser. We have the right to look someone in the eye and say, okay, put it on the table. That's it. And by anonymizing them, and they say, well, they gave details to enable them to recall the alleged incidents. Okay, fine. But that's still different than saying this is the person that's making the allegation against you. Mandy K testing a new card. Mandy, the card works fine, so feel free to add 4 or 5 zeros to the end of that. Just kidding. Thank you so much for that $2 super chat, Mandy. And I wish I was drunk says, hey, Jeff, I was out last night. I'm very shook. Well, don't be so shook that you abandon us early. Hang tight here because we're getting ready to go. They characterize this as a deliberate part of a preconceived strategy aimed at damaging their client. Could it be? Yes, it very well could be. Just a concerted effort to get him knocked off his high horse, to get him knocked down a few rungs on the social media ladder. They said that publication was a concerted campaign, and their client believes that there is a deeply concerning agenda to all of this, namely the fact that he is an alternative media broadcaster competing with mainstream media. Pressed to provide a full response, the same lawyers did not reply. They don't owe you anything. But again, the problem with replying is they're going to use it against you. And the problem without replying is they're going to say they refuse to comment. meaning you're trying to cast the idea into our head that because they didn't respond, they must agree that it happened, when that's not it at all. When given further opportunity to respond, Brand broadcast a statement on his YouTube channel saying, amidst the litany of astonishing and rather baroque attacks are some of the very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. See, that's just a dumb way of, it's this litany of he has that kind of rather not so posh English accent. Amidst the litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks. He said his relationships have always been consensual. He accused the mainstream media of a coordinated attack and said that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives. So Brand is saying he's got his own witnesses that can come forward and directly contradict what's being said. The Sunday Times asked his lawyer for evidence referred to, but no answer was provided. See, now look at this. This is some two-faced BS right here. The Times and the reporters are asking him, okay, you say you have counter evidence? Show us your evidence. When they're not willing to do the same thing to him and present all of the evidence they've collected against him. No, they said they gave him enough information that he should be able to recall the incidents. They're not showing him the evidence that they're demanding from his lawyers. That's some two-faced BS right there. If they're going to demand that he provide them evidence, then they should be willing to provide him with that same evidence against him. So I think that's a pretty shady, shitty thing that the Times is doing there. Oh yeah, you show me yours, but we're not going to show you ours. I just don't like that at all. The First Lady. The First Lady. As her taxi approached Russell Brand's home, Alice remembers, and all these names are changed. These are not their real names because they want to remain anonymous. Alice remembers the driver begging her not to go inside. Recognizing the destination, he had started to ask questions. Alice admitted she was 16 and still in school. She says the driver replied that his daughter was the same age and entreated Alice, please, and this is a quote, allegedly, please, I'm asking you not to go in there. You could be my little girl, and I would want someone to do this for her. So he offered to take her home without charge, but Alice insisted she was fine. He had just such a sad look in his eyes, she recalls. Alice, whose name we have changed to protect her identity, now realizes that she wasn't fine. She was fine with it when she was 16. She was fine with it when she was 17, 18, 19, 20. She was fine with this for nearly 20 years. But now, apparently, after talking to reporters, she's come to the realization that she's no longer okay. She was 16. She had someone telling her not to do it. And it wasn't like he came and abducted her off the street or fed her drugs and alcohol somewhere and lured her back to his place. He sent a car to her school. She willingly got in the car. She willingly went to his house. She willingly rejected the driver's advice, if it was ever given, not to go in the house. And she went in there. But now later she's realized that this isn't it. So again, are we into anything illegal now or just creepy? No, because she was 16, the age of consent in the UK, 16. So there you go. It's legal where any crime's committed. Well, during a relationship that lasted for about 3 months, when Brand was a BBC radio presenter, she says that he referred to her as the child and alleges that he became increasingly controlling and then emotionally and SA. Brand, then 30, sent a car to her secondary school. So he's 48, so this was 18 years ago. Sent a car to her secondary school to take her out of lessons and to his home. She says that she asked her to save his name. He asked her to save his name in her phone as Carly to deceive her parents. Brand's management knew that he had a teenage girlfriend and advised him not to be seen with her in public, she says. There is nothing illegal about this relationship. It may be creepy and scummy and nasty for a 30-year-old to be wanting anything to do with a 16-year-old, but it in and of itself is apparently not an illegal activity. So what are people can advise him not to do it, but he is perfectly legal to do it. apparently, so there you go. Brand's management knew the teenage girlfriend said not to be seen in public. She says Alice alleges that Brand once forced his junk down her throat, making her choke, and that after trying to push him off, he only stopped after she hit him in the stomach. She says she was visibly upset after the incident. And this, I mean, all hyperbole and all other stuff aside, this is a very, very fine line to cross. Where did this go from consensual to allegedly not consensual? Where was that line and why was it blurry? With world according to Lorax Legal Vices, Jeff. This is why, I mean, seriously, no joking aside, this is why we have things like safe words. This is why we have things like, if you're, tap signals in case your mouth happens to be full and you can't express things. This is where you say, okay, I can consent to this. And at some point, if it becomes too much or you want to back out, you've got to be able to signal that and they have to respect that. And if that doesn't happen, then it can become non-consensual. But apparently we didn't have any of this here. So it's an incredibly gray line. It became non-consensual 20 years later. Yoink. Brand made his name in comedy in the early 2000s and also achieved the status of London's most lascivious Lothario. He said he gave up drugs in 2002. Brand filled the void with sex. In 2005, he received treatment for sex addiction at a clinic in the U.S. His womanizing ways, he once said he could sleep with 80 women in a month, saw him crowned Shagger of the Year by The Sun. There's a reputable news source. By The Sun 3 times, have relationships with some of the world's most beautiful women, including Kate Moss and Mary pop star Katy Perry in 2010. They divorced 14 months later in 2012. Now, I've blurred out some of the romancing stuff. All, she knew him from TV and he bought her some stuff and she liked it and she liked the attention. Brand asked her to dinner and she later told her mother, who made Alice text Brand to tell him her age. Now, see, this is where we get another problematic area. So Alice's mother said, text him your age, assuming it would put him off. It didn't. Alice's mother was very upset, but did not feel she could control who her daughter met. I was a wild and rebellious 16-year-old, but somehow my parents managed to control who I met. 16-year-olds, where are you getting the money to go out? Where are you getting the money to drive or take the subway or do this? Where parents, you can control. Your door has a freaking lock on it. You assert your rights as a parent. Don't go, oh, she's going to go off to see a superstar who's twice her age. She's 16, he's 30. Well, what are you going to do about it? Be a freaking parent. You take responsibility for it because she's your child. She is your responsibility. I was a child I remember wearing a red wiggle dress. So not only did her mother let her go out to see with Brand, who was twice her age, her mother let her go out wearing a very tight-fitting red little wiggle dress and big platform shoes, and her hair was blown up and wearing makeup, Alice now remembers. But I didn't look like a woman by any means. I was a child that had got dressed up for dinner. Where is the mother going? You're not going out of the house looking like that. Where's that mother? And again, if there was any victimization here, I'm not victim shaming. I'm using this for the purpose of education, saying take a little bit of responsibility and make sure this doesn't happen so there are no victims allegedly or otherwise. Think, be responsible, use this noggin up here that we all have. I was a child that got dressed up for dinner. On their first date, she claims Brand asked her as soon as they met to confirm. Now, see, this line here has been taken out of context a lot over the weekend. She claims Brand asked her as soon as they met to confirm she was definitely 16, saying, I don't give a fuck if you're 12. I need to know where I stand legally. Now, that's been interpreted a bunch of different ways over the weekend. the one that most people are doing, most people are trying to latch on to, which I don't personally feel was the right interpretation, was, oh, I don't care if you are 12 years old. I just want to know. Like if she had said, just kidding. I'm not 16. I'm really 12. He would have said, ooh, that's great with me. That's even better. That's 4 years better than 12. Let's go knock boots. No, I do not think that is the interpretation at all. Wow. There you go. Strawberry dropped a bone. I don't think that is the right and proper interpretation. I think what he's saying is, I don't care if you're 12. I just need to know how old you are so I can determine what's going to happen next. Whereas if she says, okay, I'm 12, he's going to be like, get the fuck out. To me, that says, I don't care how old you are. I need to know where I stand legally. He's saying, I don't care if you're 1, if you're 18, if you're 847, I need to see proof so that I know if this is going to be legal or not. That's how I see this interpreted. I could be wrong, and that could be very well what he meant. Like, ooh, I hope you're 12. That's even better. But I don't think that's what he meant at all. But that's how people are spinning this particular quote, and I just disagree with it. And I'd be curious to hear what you guys in chat think about this. I'm going to push a little bit of a pause here and get through these super chats that have piled up here. Square Bob with a $2 super chat says, I would like to baptize Brand in a river. And I wish I was drunk with €2. I'll be here in spirit at least. Well, stay here. You were in spirits before. I think that was the problem. I wish I was drunk. And Boodooberry says, surprising, none of this came up when he was a drug-riddled mess on MTV and canceled for numerous scandals with the BBC a decade ago. Correct. It all came out after he reinvented himself, became a well-being guru influencer, made millions of dollars. And then after years of people nosing into his business. But again, that doesn't mean it didn't happen and it's not true. It just means you kind of got to look at it from a little bit of, with a healthy dose of skepticism. Big Chunga says, all this kind of allegation sounds terrible on paper, but I don't see Brand as a R-word Epstein. The only piercings, okay. When I was younger, I would want to know exact age. Don't want legal trouble. See, that's what I mean. Well, allegedly they told friends. Did they tell anyone? Allegedly they told friends. They didn't tell the police, that's for sure. And we'll get into that a little bit later as well. Even a sex addict knows when bait is bait. Right. Innocent until proven guilty? Absolutely. And there's not even anything to be proven guilty for because there's no criminal charges. There hasn't even been a single police report been filed yet. Not a single police report has been filed. Brand was trying to drop a bone too. With you on that, Legal Vices. First date, meaning there were other dates after the assault. Well, the assault didn't happen on the first date. Kicked the table here. Wow. Yeah, they dated for 3 months. So let's get back into this. I just wanted to share my opinion on how this quote is being spun. I have a different interpretation, and we can speculate, but I don't think it's the way it's being interpreted mainly in the media, which is to say, oh, I don't care if you are 12. I just need to know. Because he said, I need to know where I stand legally. So he wants to know if it's legal. He doesn't care if she's 12 because if she, or whatever. He just needs the proof. During the earliest stages of their relationship, it was only 3 months long. There's only an early stage of that relationship. Alice says Brand was very charming and very attentive, sending her verbose messages. She remembers feeling giddy and special. So she felt giddy and special when it was happening, but not later when she's asked about it by reporters. And then there's some gross stuff there that's grayed out that we just don't need to get into here. Over the following weeks, Brand referred to her as the child and asked her to read Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita and coached her on what to say to her parents when he wanted to see her. Alice says, and so nothing illegal telling someone to read Lolita. It's kind of creepy and disgusting, but nothing Nothing illegal about it. Although Alice was over the age of consent in the UK, she and a family member who was also spoken to the Sunday Times to corroborate her story, both describes Brand's behavior as grooming. Again, there are legitimate, way too many real examples of grooming out there. And I'm not saying this isn't one of them, but one person's grooming, especially when you're talking over the age of consent, one person's grooming can be another person's courtship. And the fact that he's a 30-year-old man courting or, doing whatever to persuade a 16-year-old is creepy and disgusting. But again, it doesn't make it illegal. Alice says he suggested how she could deceive her parents into allowing her to visit him, and claims that he gave her scripts on how to lie to them. She also alleges that he told her not to trust her friends and that they would all be looking to make money from it if she revealed she was seeing him. It was isolating, she said. Russell engaged in the behaviors of a groomer. Looking back, but I didn't even know what it was then or what that looked like. She says, Alice recalls that Brand told her never to send him sexual images, and she believed that was because of her age. It was legal, apparently. Maybe he just says don't do it because something that goes out over the waves is out there forever and can potentially be hacked. Perhaps that was it. But here, he has to tell her not to send the images. Does that mean that she wanted to send the images and he said don't do it? That's kind of how I'm reading that. Because we didn't have camera phones back then. We had camera phones 15 years ago, 16. Well, this was 18 years ago. We had camera phones 18 years ago. They were crappy and potato phones, but they existed. Alice accuses Brand of being controlling. Controlling, again, is not a crime. It's just a douchebaggy thing to do. She says he once ran a bath for her and demanded that she stay in it while he went out for about an hour. Another time, Alice alleges that Brand removed the condom during sex without her knowing. Again, a shitty thing to do, and that might be a bad situation. But how do you prove that? That is, unfortunately, the absolute definition of a he said, she said. How do you prove that that actually happened? Why should you take his word for it over hers? Why should you take her word for it over his? That's why in the court of law, we have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt necessary before convicting someone. So what do you do in this situation? Could be 50% he did it. Could be 50% he didn't do it. That's a reasonable doubt. There is doubt that he did it or didn't do it, and it is reasonable. So therefore, you have to side with the side that it didn't happen in a court of law. When he invited her over on his 31st birthday, Alice's mother insisted on driving her to emphasize to him that this was a girl with loving parents. The same loving parents who just, oh, what can I do? I'll let her go out wearing her little red wiggle dress. I mean, I can't control who she sees. When Alice's mother went to meet Brand on the doorstep, Alice says that he blocked the door and leaned down and kissed my mother on the mouth. She said that afterwards, her mother was very, very upset at Brand's behavior and pleaded with Alice to come home with her, but Alice chose to stay. If I'm dating I can't imagine it being reversed, but if I was a young girl dating an older guy and he kissed my mom full on the mouth when I was going over to his house, I'd be okay, creeper. That's sick. That's gross. That's wrong. I'm out. Oh, she stuck around for some reason. Can't imagine what it would be. But yeah, despite all of this happening, despite him being controlling, despite all of this, despite him kissing her mother full on the mouth, she stuck around for the party. Happy birthday. A lot of grossness talking about the choking. I ended up having to punch him really hard in the stomach to get him off, and I was crying, and he said, oh, I only wanted to see your mascara run anyway. Then I knew at that point that he didn't care about hurting me physically or emotionally. It shouldn't take you having to punch someone and to wind them and to win them to get them off you. It shouldn't be a physical fight. Now, here's a thing. here's a thing. There's actually a joke that Brand does about that, about gagging someone and their mascara running a little bit. Did she get this accusation from that joke? Did he make the joke because it happened to her? Did he make the joke and then do it to her because that's sort of a modus operandi thing he has? We don't know. We don't know. But there is a joke out there where he's saying, it's, yeah, give me the mascara runs a little bit. We don't know. Could this be a made up scenario that something she recalls from a joke, or intentionally she's quoting this joke here? Or again, it could be the other way around. He did it, so he joked about it, or he does it all the time and likes to joke about it and likes to do it. We don't know. He said, she said. Alice lay on the side of the bed after the attack, and then he did some disgusting things after the attack, and it sort of bothered her again, the alleged attack. Now, see, this was after she had been choked out, or not choked out. This is after she had been gagged by his junk, and he said, I just wanted to see her mascara run. And she says, then I knew at that point that he didn't care about hurting me physically or emotionally. Did she break up with him at that time? No. The relationship ended when Brand invited her over one day, and she arrived to find another woman in his bed. I was so angry, and I said to him, why would you do this to me? This is so humiliating. Being in a controlling environment, being physically abused, being emotionally abused, being forced to sit in a bathtub, being gagged with his junk. And the other gross thing that we fast forward through was apparently like spit in her mouth and made her swallow it. All of this didn't make you break up with him, but just seeing him in bed with another woman, that's what made you angry. That's why you're saying it's so humiliating. That's why you're saying, why would you do this to me? This seems like the least of the things he's done. This seems like the least shitty thing he did to her. And she stuck around through all of this, and then finally she got angry. Finally she felt humiliated when she walks in and he's in bed with another woman. That, again, that sends off the logic alarm then. That sends off the spidey senses to say we need to look more carefully at this, because that sort of seems to be a little bit strange to me. But Alice has decided to speak out because she now believes that she was too young to be able to consent to a relationship with an adult man. Now she believes she was too young at 18. My mom... Oh, she said, and that the law should be changed to protect those under 18. Don't put that on Brand. She now believes she probably was too young to be able to consent to the relationship. Who knows? But the fact is, the law thinks she was, and she knew it, and she played along with it. Now, what she thinks now is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant whether she thinks the law should be changed. Change it, if that's what you think. My mom still feels like she failed me in some way in allowing this to happen, because she kind of did. She kind of did. But she has no recourse at all. It shouldn't be legal for a 16-year-old to have a relationship with a man in their 30s. Well, where do you draw the line? There should be something in place to protect children. There are. The laws. You don't like them? Change them. Some disgusting stuff there. During the early years of Brand's career as a Channel 4 presenter, there were repeated incidents which raised questions about his interaction with young women while working for them. TV researchers and runners who worked on Channel 4 shows during this period alleged that Brand would get staff to approach young female audience members so they could meet him after filming. That is such a common occurrence in television, music, film, all of that. Here's my room key, that sort of behavior doesn't make it right, doesn't mean it's cool, doesn't mean it's not a disgusting thing to do, but it happens all the time, and these people know it, and they do it, and they get away with it because nobody stops them. But we don't know whether this happens here or not, but if it did, it shouldn't be surprising. But again, it's not illegal to be a scumbag and go, hey baby, want to come up to my room and smash after I get off the air? Nothing legally wrong with that. Okay, and then one of the showrunners, who was 24 at the time, says that she once walked into Brand's dressing room and claims he flashed his junk at her. Well, you walked into his dressing room. I don't know if you were invited or whatnot. You didn't say that, but so that doesn't, you see that, you leave. She alleges that Brand insinuated that she could give him oral sex. She was shocked and refused. She felt unable to tell anyone about what happened and was worried that if she complained, she would lose her job. So she walks in, he flashes his junk at her. She's shocked and horrified. She's too afraid to tell anybody because she might lose her job. So what happened next? Well, they ended up in a relationship together. She says Brand continued to pursue her, and after some time after he asked her to visit his flat, when she arrived, they kissed and had sex. They began a relationship. So she's horrified in the beginning. She was so afraid. She wanted to complain but couldn't because she'd lose her job. Fast forward a few minutes, and she's having sex with him, and they're in a relationship. She alleges he told her to keep it a secret because of a contractual thing with Big Brother, but apparently that clause didn't actually exist in his contract. But who cares about that? A researcher claims Brand's behavior while working on the E-Forum and Big Brother's Big Mouth was reported. They allege that they complained about Brand pursuing audience members for sex, but claims their concerns were dismissed. The researcher remembers being told by a talent manager, it's what happens with the talent. Boys will be boys. It's not a big deal. Does anyone really use the phrase boys will be boys anymore? That's kind of a dumb thing. But if they did, he deserves to be punched in the head for being an idiot and a prick. But again, is it illegal? A spokesman for Banijay UK, which bought Endemol in 2020, said it had reviewed files and correspondence and could find no records of issues about Brand being raised formally or discussed with the previous owners. Despite this saying, there's not a single record that they were able to find of any complaint that was made about Russell Brand during this time period. And then they read these little statement. Brand would regularly have sex with women he met at events. Two who went back to his home on separate occasions claim he became threatening and shouted at them when they refused to have intercourse with him. One left his home in tears. Helen Berger, who has worked as Brand's personal assistant in 2006, says that during her job interview for the job, she told one of his managers that she had a girlfriend. The manager later told her that being gay was a plus for the job. She believes the manager wanted to make sure that I would be safe. He just wanted a purely platonic situation. Berger says that Brand was a narcissist. Brand calls himself a narcissist. Again, he talks about showing pictures. He's got some nudes on his phone and he's showing them to his friends. Ooh, horror and shock. I know women that have done that with dudes and dudes that have done that with women. It's a dick move. It's a bitch ass move to make, but it happens. Then we have this Liliana de la Piana, a highly experienced celebrity who worked for Brand between December 7th, 2007 and January 2008. That's like a month. Says she believes she was hired by his managers because she was nearer to his mother's age than this. She recalls, and this is a based woman here. This is based. I like this based woman. This is how you deal with it. Flux says, so they're getting jelly. He is getting more than they are. Could be. But we don't know. We don't know what the motive. Maybe they're motivated by truth. I don't know. Well, so she believed that she was hired by his managers because she was nearer to his mother's age than his. She recalls that at her interview, Brand said that he liked to walk around with nothing on, and that sometimes just a long kaftan with nothing underneath. Dalla Piana remembers replying, I've got a son who's older than you. I've seen it all. That's a based woman. Go, yeah, you're not impressing me with your junk. I've got a son who's older than you. And if I see something I haven't seen before, I'll be sure to cut it off. So following the scandal, there's another scandal where he talked about effing the granddaughter of the guy that played Manuel on Fawlty Towers. Following the scandal, Brand moved to Los Angeles, where he focused on a Hollywood film career and a new American TV show. He remained in LA after his marriage to Perry failed in 2012. One night after party, he met Nadia, another woman. This is one of the women in question. One of the one of the more serious allegations. A businesswoman who was then in her 30s. They exchanged numbers and Brand got in touch and they began texting and talking over the phone. They met up in June 2012 at his house in LA and went on to have consensual sex. But she was unsettled by his glazed over look. He does this thing when he glazes over. I don't know what's going on in his head, she said. It was fine, but it was a weird first-time experience with someone when you're having sex with them for the first time. During one text exchange, Brand suggested that Nadia bring a friend. I'm like, no, that's not happening. I don't care. That's not happening. We're not doing that, he says. And I tried to get away from him and I slipped away from the wall. And then I went to another wall that had a painting on it, a huge painting. And my bag actually got stuck underneath that and it's still on my arm. And then he talks about he pinned her up against the wall and SA'd her, raped her. And then he blocks the door that I've come into because he doesn't want me going. Nadia says, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. You need to get away from me. And he's like, calm down. Let's calm down. Nadia says Brand eventually stepped away from the door he'd been blocking after Nadia told him she wanted to use the bathroom. I ran out and I jumped in my car. Thank God I didn't park in his driveway and booked it out of there. She says, that was it. I just sat on the road a little bit longer and I was in a daze. Tug in the house. What's up, Tug? We have an alleged Tug sighting. Oh, we must be more than alleged. There we are. Hey, what's up, Tug? Good to have you here, brother. Good to see you here. So she's doing all of this like, oh, he wanted a threesome. I got to get out of here. And then he blocked her and allegedly raped her there. And then at 3:29, now see, this is where I've got some really big concerns and questions. At 3:20 a.m., Brand sent Nadia a text message. He wrote, I'm sorry. That was crazy and selfish. I hope you can forgive me. I know that you're a lovely person, X. He tried phoning her at 3:51 a.m., but the call went unanswered. Now, we've all seen this text. We've all seen this text message. Well, there's a couple of things, and I have something here. Let me open this up real quick. Got to scroll back through some texts I got. Where are the texts? Is this it? This is it. This must be it. Yes, that is it. Let me bring this up here. Got to open another window. I need to do him big in that because I can see that you guys can't see it. And excuse me here while I'm just kind of getting these right now. Let's read through this text message because it may not say what people are saying it says. I'm sorry. This is July 1st. It's got a timestamp here. July 1st, 2012, 3:29 a.m. I'm sorry, that was crazy and selfish. I hope you can forgive me. I know that you're a lovely person, X. Or that not X, that's like X, maybe kiss. Now, what was crazy and selfish? That says nothing about any type of sexual encounter. It says nothing about any grape. It says nothing about SA. It just says, ooh, that was crazy and selfish. I hope you can forgive me. God will know there was no details from him. And even in her, she does not mention anything about being graped or SA'd here. You scared the shit out of me. You're right. I'm a lovely person. And for you to take advantage of me like that is unexpectable. Unexpectable? Did she mean unacceptable? Let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she meant unacceptable. You have a problem. You need help. It's dangerous that you think you can get your own way all the time. Do you know how scary you are when that glazed look comes over you? When a girl says no, it means no. Do I have to go get myself tested? Last time you asked me condom or no condom. When I say condom, that doesn't mean it's optional. You don't have the best reputation. I pride myself, she says, I pride myself on being safe and trying to make the right decisions. Obviously, this was a bad one. I'm so disappointed. I'm very sorry. You don't need to get tested. I will make this up to you somehow with love and kindness. He says live and kindness, but love and kindness, not my original idea, which was more sex. You've been lovely to me and I'm embarrassed by my behavior. Sorry, X. Right. Let's look at a couple of things here. first. What are they talking about? Everybody in mainstream media and everyone who hasn't bothered to read the article and give it more than 2 seconds thought, everybody is spinning this, that she's saying when a girl says no, it means no. They're saying this means that she didn't want to have intercourse with him and he forced her to have intercourse with him. And so she was used in one, and because they forced intercourse on them, it was grape. And then he apologizes for it. So therefore he must be admitting to having graped her. I challenge you to look at this in another equally logically and possibly more reasonable way. There's a different interpretation here. What are they talking about? I put this to you that an equally valid interpretation of this, and we don't know because we don't know the specifics. We just have this here. An equally valid and probably more reasonable thing is they are talking about wearing a condom. Not graping her, not forcing intercourse with her, talking about him wearing a condom. Think about that while we read through this again. You scared this shit. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry. That was crazy and selfish. Because, it was crazy and selfish for me not to wear a condom or take it off or whatever he did. Let's say he just whipped it out. He whipped the condom off while they were doing it or refused to put one on. That was scary and selfish. Yeah, okay. I hope you can forgive me. I know that you're a lovely person. And she says, you scared this shit out of me. Perhaps by ejaculating in her without a condom. You're right. I'm a lovely person. And for you to take advantage of me like that is unacceptable. You have a problem. You need help. It's dangerous that you think you can get your own way all the time. Do you know how scary? Now, when a girl says no, like, oh, can we do this without a condom? She says no. It means no. You can't do this without a condom. Do I have to go get myself tested? Why would you have to get yourself tested? Because he refused to wear a condom or he took it off and then he ejaculates in her. That would be a reason to go get tested. Last time you asked me condom or no condom. So apparently he didn't ask her this time or he didn't tell her. So this last time you asked me condom or no condom. So this time you didn't ask me. To me, this is clear to me that they're talking about wearing a condom. Not about graping her, not about the act itself. They're going to do the act. It was about whether or not to wear a condom. That is how I read this. This is how I interpret this. Last time you asked me condom or no condom. When I say condom, that doesn't mean it's optional. So this time, maybe he didn't ask or maybe he took it off. It's not optional. I said no sex without a condom, and you did this. You don't have the best reputation. I pride myself on being safe and trying to make the right decisions. How are you safe? You wear a condom. Now, having sex without a condom, the other person doesn't want it, that gets... What the Christ was that? That sounds like the dog's making a mess. Hang on here. Lorax will be right back. That was a dish. Wow, that's a first. I'll be right back. Hang tight, folks. Hello, everyone. I was correct. That was Yoda who was going after a plate with some chicken legs, some chicken leg bones on it. Well, there we go. Interrupted my rant. He did. No, not Korean ghosts. It was just Yoda going for some chicken bones. Thankfully, they were a little small, like upper leg bones. So no major issues there. They should hopefully all come out in the wash, so to speak. Right. So as I was saying, I don't think this is about the act itself. I think it's about wearing a condom. And if someone says, no, we can't do this without a condom, or if someone without approval whips the condom off mid act, that gets into a very wrong area. So, I mean, either way, he's not in a good light, no matter what it's about. But I think people are directly trying to conflate these issues. Now, that's not the only problem I have with this. There's been a big deal made about this part of the text here in the middle, starting with, do I have to go? The text is clear, then suddenly it becomes blurry. It looks a little bit larger. It looks as if it could have been copied and cut and pasted. We don't know. And even more importantly, is this a screenshot? Is this a screen capture? Is this a reenactment? Is this a created document? We don't know. We haven't seen the metadata. We haven't seen the phone it was on. We haven't had any foundation laid for exactly what we are looking at in this picture. Is this the authentic message, or is it just a reproduction? Is it a cut and paste job? We don't know because we haven't seen the evidence. But look, we have a timestamp here. July 1st, 2012, 3:29 a.m. July 1st, 2012, 10:59 a.m. There's no timestamp on his reply. It's not there. The spacing's a bit wonky as well. There's a pretty decent sized space between those two. There's a very, very small space between those two messages. And then, will you ever forgive me? There's a timestamp there more than a month later. July 1st and then August 5th, more than a month later, again with a large space. So large space, very tiny space, large space. Now, again, another thing to look at here. Look at this spelling here. I'm embarrassed by my behavior. I-O-R. B-E-H-A-V-I-O-R. He's British. They spell behavior with a U. B-E-H-A-V-I-O-U-R. Now, that can be explained by which later we're going to read this. Later we're going to read this that he was using a US-based telephone to send this message allegedly. So if it was a US-based phone and he types B-E-H-A-V-I-O-R, I-O-U-R, it could autocorrect to behavior with the American spelling. Now, okay, let's assume that. But then I want an explanation for this next little thing that I want to bring up. So I need to stop that screen. And we need to bring up this next screen. Okay, this is the one we're looking at here. I'm very sorry. You need to get the behavior spelled correctly. There's another version of this out here with completely different formatting. Here you got the names before it. There's no names here. Still using the same color, the same bubbles. But here it's spelled B-E-A-H-A-V-I-O-U-R. Which one is the right one? Which one are we looking at? Why do we have two different versions? If another media outlet changed the formatting, why? Why would they do that? What are we looking at here? Why? That doesn't make any, there's two things here. There's two different ones. Which one is the right? We probably have to default with the one that we're reading from because that was the original people. And the other ones may have just recreated it or whatnot to suit their purposes. And, you know, there's just so many questions about this text. And if this is the one they're hanging their hat on, this is not a great place to hang your hat, so to speak. Let's bring back our article here real quick. Oh, Yoda, you are on one tonight, aren't you? All right, Yoda. While Yoda's having a fit, Marv White is giving us $5. Thank you so much for the super chat, Marv White. No comment on brand, but I'll say that I feel like false accusations being punished as that crime, due process still applies. Yes. Yeah, if you're going to accuse someone of graping you and it's a false accusation, you should be you should be charged with, and if you're convicted, you should serve the same sentence as someone who graped you. Someone who the person, whatever the penalty for grape is what you should serve for making a false accusation of graping someone. That's always been my take on that. Thank you so much for that super chat. All right, let's get back to the article here. We've really embiggened it quite a bit. Bring it back down. Center it. There we go. Nadia said she was up most of the night. She did not reply to Brand's text until 10:59 a.m. She wrote that he had taken advantage of her and scared the shit out of me. She wrote in a text to Brand, "Do you know how scary you are? When a girl says no, it means no. Do I have to go out and get myself tested?" He says, "Very sorry." Now, see, again, they say, look, this is another thing here. 3:29, he says this. 3:51, he tries calling her. 10:59, she replies. But then Brand replied that he was very sorry. Why isn't there a time? There's a time indication for everything else that happened. Why isn't there a time indication for when Brand replied that he was very sorry? That's just weird, and it's a little bit suspicious when you put timestamps for everything else except for that one thing. And to me, that looks clearly doctored. That text message, to me, it is clearly not a screenshot. And if it is, I want to see the actual screenshot. We've seen that in other trials where they will take a picture of the actual phone with that just being displayed. Brand replied he was very sorry. I'm very embarrassed. The U.S. phone number that Brand used to send the message has been verified by multiple sources. Okay, so yeah, this is phone number. Have we looked at the metadata? Have we checked the phone to make sure that that was actually sent from that phone? I don't know, because they haven't shown us any of this. Nadia, meanwhile, told a close friend what happened, and she took her to a treatment center at UCLA. Now, she shared a full copy of her treatment records, which stated that she provided her underwear and other samples as evidence, which were frozen. An officer from the LAPD was alerted by the center, according to notes, but she chose not to make a police report, saying to the center she didn't think my words would mean anything up against his. What words are those? DNA, his semen all over your underwear or inside of you is going to say more than any allegation. I mean, he's going to say it was consensual, and then you have a he said, she said. But if it's forcible, maybe perhaps there were other marks. The absence of other marks does not mean it wasn't forcible or that it wasn't grape. But if you're doing this examination and there are other marks that are indicative of an assault, then that can weigh much more than someone's word saying didn't do it. So, and again, I hate to sound like I'm victim blaming, but I'm evidence shopping. I'm looking for the evidence. I want to see the evidence. Just because someone goes to a crisis center and files a report doesn't mean that it wasn't consensual. I mean, the fact that they went there immediately after does give some credence to the fact that, does give some credence to the allegation that it may not have been consensual. You know, if she'd gone there a week later or whatever and reported it, that might be a little different. So, I mean, this is a problematic area for him if it turns out that it's actually his DNA. We don't know that because it's not there because she didn't file a report. So apparently it's still frozen somewhere. She didn't file a report. Apparently the test wasn't done. We don't know whose DNA it was. But if it is his, it could be problematic because she went there shortly thereafter. Which sort of gives a little more, as I said, a little more credence than if she would have waited several weeks or whatever and didn't have any evidence. But even if there is evidence, if you're looking at from a legal court of law type perspective, that doesn't mean it wasn't consensual and she just didn't have buyer's remorse or whatever the next day and went and made a false report. This is the problem with making these allegations and not immediately reporting it to the police. You get in a situation like this where 20 years later, someone's trying to sort it out. It's a bad situation all the way around. So she didn't want to file a report because she didn't think her words would mean anything against his. The notes also state that she was worried that if her assailant's name is somehow released, then her name would be dragged through the dirt. Well, when you're up here now 20 years later making these allegations, it's time to put your money and your name where your mouth is. And, let people look at you and investigate this situation. Law enforcement and other authorities, let them investigate it the same way the reporter is investigating Brand. Nadia has therapy at the clinic for the following 5 months. During her therapy sessions, records showed Nadia was contemplating criminal or civil proceedings, but ultimately deciding against it. However, she wrote Brand a letter hoping to regain some of her power in the process, her note said, and she says she sent it to his house. In the letter, she asked, "Do you know what you put me through, my body through? You scared the shit out of me on July 1st. I thought in any situation I would be strong enough to fight someone off. You completely broke me down." Brand continued building a career in America. The following year, another woman claimed she was the victim of SA at Brand's house. Phoebe, who was in her 20s, says she met him at Alcoholics Anonymous before they started working together, and that she had a brief sexual relationship with him, which ended by the time of the alleged attack in early 2013. Well, how nice of them to put alleged attack. Phoebe says the team was working on a project in Hollywood. She went to his house. She realized a member of the staff had gone out and they were alone. She describes being trapped in a bedroom and realizing that Brand wanted to have sex with her. She says she can't remember whether he was naked or in his underwear, but he ended up naked at some point and started chasing her. She claims he grabbed me and got me on the bed, then claims like a horrible thing. There was some cursing and swearing, and she did not want it to happen. And there was some digital penetration, shall we say, but he didn't grape me, she said. There was digital penetration, which, if it happened, it's SA. If she didn't, if it wasn't consensual. She says she kept begging him to get off her, and he relented. She said, "You're fired. Fuck you, you're fired." And then she ran away. She passed a group of people as she was fleeing who arrived at the house to meet a project. Years later, she says she met one of the people who had been in the group, and he pulled me aside and he said to me, "I have never forgiven myself for not running in that house to save you. I heard you screaming and didn't know what to do. And we were all so scared of him, and I didn't do anything, and I'm sorry." So this is like super hearsay. She's saying that someone else said this to her way back in the day, but the Times attempted to contact this person, but he did not respond. So we don't even have anything from this person to verify that he actually did say this. Nothing to say he didn't say it, but nothing to say he did say it. Phoebe, who told friends what happened to her, felt forced to return to work in the days after. He said, "You're fired, F you, and you're fired," but she still returned to work. But she claims that Brand, after becoming aware of her allegation, cornered her and threatened her with legal action. Phoebe did not formally report the incident as she feared that her career would be affected. 3 separate sources confirmed that she had told them about her allegation at the time, while 2 more were also aware of it. I don't know what that means. She told 3 people about it and 2 more were also aware of it. Gossip? I don't know. But somehow other people showed up, Then we have this other story. This ex-girlfriend Jordan Martin writes a book. She's the only one that's put her name on this because she wrote a book about it. She describes being essayed by him, kind of a gross way, which we don't really need to get into here. But then we just go on to talk about his behavior. Studios encouraging guests to do things. When contacted by the Times, I said, "I stopped working with Russell Brand several years ago. During the time I worked with him, I was never aware of any allegations of sexual misconduct against him. I absolutely condemn all forms of mistreatment of women." So he's saying, "I didn't hear about it. I don't know. I didn't hear about it." Then they were fined because for some reason they're mentioning they were fined £17,500 because he faked a competition winner on a show. On a radio show, he described someone as erotic or a sex bomb. He wanted to go under the desk. This is just being a creeper. This is just being a scumbag. This is just being a shock jock guy, a crass comedian. But now where I think, and if this is proven, I think this looks really, really bad for Russell Brand. If this can be substantiated in any way. We mentioned Jimmy Savile a bit earlier. And for those of you who don't know, Jimmy Savile was a children's show presenter in UK. And Not until after he died did it come to light that he had essayed hundreds of children. Hundreds. And I mean, he had even started taking jobs in a hospital for mentally handicapped children so that he could do his thing with the mentally handicapped children. A true evil scumbag of a human being. Well, in May 2007, Brand called Jimmy Savile, who suggested the pair could meet if Brand brought along a sister. Brand doesn't have a sister, so instead offered to bring a female employee, agreeing on Savile's request that she should be naked. I've got a personal assistant, he said, and part of her job description is that anyone I demand she greet, meet, messages, she has to do it. She's very attractive, Jimmy. This was 4 years before Savile's death and 5 years before details of Jimmy'll Fix It presenter's crimes were exposed. If he did meet with Jimmy Savile and he did have this exchange, and if it can be shown and supported in any way with objective evidence, which maybe it is, because we haven't been shown any of this. This looks really bad for Russell Brand. I think this is probably the most damning part of this whole thing, if it can be substantiated. Well, that's what I'm saying. Polar Red says that they got that conversation. I don't know how they know about this. That's what I mean. If this is true, and it's totally if it's true, there's no reason to believe it is. There's no reason to believe it isn't. So until someone presents some evidence, it remains up in the air. And if it's up in the air, we have to look at it skeptically. Well, that's what I mean. Is there text messages? Is there phone call? Is there recordings? We just don't know. So, is it made up out of whole cloth with zero substantiation, or is there something behind it? This is why it's important to bring the facts, show the facts, open this up. Don't make it anonymous. Don't hide the evidence, reveal it, bring it all out. If you're going to start, bring it all out. Don't do a half-assed job and leave people hanging. And some people are saying maybe that was a joke. Maybe it looks really bad considering who Jimmy Savile was. So according to insiders who are working for the BBC radio at the time, complaints were made about Brand's behavior in the studios to Leslie Douglas. Okay, so yeah, he's being a dick. He's an alarming display of aggression and disrespect by Brand in the studios, urinating in a bottle in full view of everyone. He had done this including in front of a young person who appeared to be a minor, and had been sent to reappear on Radio Charity. And then we just goes through all these things saying, here's all of the horrible, stupid, unethical, creepy, weird crap he's done. Alice, who this is our first lady, remember, who later worked at Channel 4, recalled a meeting in 2013 or early 2014 during which Brand was pitched as a host of his show, but concerns about his behavior were flagged. The solution that was offered was that we would take the female staff off the crew. Women that have worked hard to get into the industry now can't work on a particular show because of fear that they might be assaulted or harassed. I was in disbelief. Brand continued to be given opportunities by mainstream broadcasters in the UK, including on Channel 4 in 2019. He appeared on a celebrity edition of Bake Off. He baked biscuits inspired by the genitals of his wife. Well, charming, but not criminal. A spokesman for Channel 4 said Channel 4 is appalled to learn of these deeply troubling allegations, including behavior alleged to have taken place on programs made for Channel 4 between these dates. We're determined to understand the full nature of what went on. We have carried out extensive document searches and have found no evidence to suggest the alleged incidents were brought to the attention of Channel 4. So again, as with other people they've talked to, there is no record that any of these things were ever brought to the attention of someone who could do something about it. They say, well, because they were afraid that they wouldn't be believed or whatever, but they still didn't file, and there's no records that they can find. That's a problematic thing. When you go, oh, all of this happened and everybody knew about it, not a single report to back it up that we've seen. And apparently here's Channel 4 saying we don't have any records like that. Then there's some other gross stuff there and some other dumb, pointless stuff. Daniel Sloth was the only comedian willing to speak on the record using his real name. So somebody named Daniel Sloth was the only guy that would step forward and use his own name to talk about his bad behavior as a comedian. And I mean, we look at comedians, and the comedians can be a creepy lot of people and do a lot of creepy things. People have been women have been warning each other about Russell. They're comedians who made references and jokes to Russell's alleged crimes. And in recent years, Brand has reinvented himself again. He promotes himself as a wellness guru to an estimated 28 million viewers across social media, podcasts, and a live festival. Mainstream media looking to bring down this guy. How much of it is a hit piece? How much of it actually has substantive, provable evidence of any of these things that have happened? We just don't know. Alice says she told Brand's representatives what he did to her when she was 16 because she hoped he had changed. She wanted an apology. She says she was told Brand was away at a wellness retreat, but she would get a response. It was a very aggressive response from her lawyers, which it probably should have been. And again, some names have been changed. That's what we know. That's it. Allegations by anonymous people. And yes, they are anonymous people. They're not putting their names out to the public. They're anonymous. Anonymous people making allegations to a mainstream media newspaper. The newspaper talking to hundreds of people over several years to get more dirt on the story, to uncover things. Show us what you uncovered. Don't tell us you have these things. Show us. Show us the proof so that we can either agree or disagree with the actual evidence. That's what I'm asking for. Nobody has filed a police report. Nobody has filed a civil lawsuit. Nobody has put their name on this. Nobody has shown any evidence other than this text that appears clearly to me to not be the original or be a doctored original. That's all we have. He said, she said. He denies it categorically. So what do you do in this situation? I wasn't there when any of these events happened. You weren't there when any of these events happened. There was only these people that are involved that were there. We shouldn't have an opinion at this point. We should be waiting for more evidence or more explanation or something to come out to substantiate these claims. And until these claims are substantiated or proven, to your personal satisfaction, you have to keep an open mind and go, yes, he may be a disgusting, vile piece of shit, but I don't see any evidence that he actually did these things. There's plenty of things that he did. There's plenty of jokes he told. There's plenty of examples of him being a right dick, but these, not so much. We have to keep the literal and figurative jury out on these issues until we are shown and presented with more information, more evidence. I don't want more information. I want more evidence. I want independent, not subjective, objective evidence that he did anything he's been accused of. And if it turns out that you can prove that he did these things, he should probably be buried in a shallow grave or a deep hole or thrown off a cliff somewhere if he actually did these things that he was accused of. And the illegal things. Dating a 16-year-old is not illegal. So you've got, and when you're going through these, again, as I said, look at what is illegal and look at what is just a creepy, shitty, immoral, unethical, and horrible thing to do. That doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal. Should he be canceled? No, not yet. Listen. I mean, again, this whole believe all women all the time thing is gone. Believe all women? No, that's gone too. Listen. Investigate. Examine proof. Do those three things. Listen carefully, listen attentively, pay attention to what is being alleged. Two, investigate it. Look at what actual evidence. And when you see the evidence, ask questions about it. Don't just look at it and go, oh, there you go, it's proven. You know, the crisis kit. Who reported it? When was it reported? What was done? Why don't we know the answers to these questions? Whose DNA was it? Why haven't you filed a police report? We need the answers before we can make a decision. Until then, we have to take a wait and see. That's the and if anybody's made up their mind based on this article or this documentary that came out, you're weak-minded. Simply put, you're weak-minded. That's my story. That's my take on it right now. We went way longer on that than I wanted to. But it's an important thing that's just come up. It's out there. People are talking about it, and people are talking about it all over Twitter and whatnot, and they clearly haven't read the article. It's behind a paywall, so unless they paid for it, they have a subscription to it, or they have other access, they haven't read it, and it's just clear they haven't, because they ask questions or they say things that are directly contradicted by the information in the story. People are going off in a half-assed manner about this. Be responsible. Be better than that. Be able to think critically. I think Russell Brand is a right dick of he's a right twat of a human being. There's not much I like about him at all. I think he's a phony dickhead. But that doesn't mean he did these things that he's accused of. And if he did them, the majority of them just make him a bigger dick than I already thought he was. Very, very little of what's been alleged is potentially criminal. Keep that in mind. And Russell Brand story, not him. And the Russell Brand story. All right, daily quick bites. Legal Vices, are you aware real deepfake tech is probably far advanced beyond what tech is publicly admitted to? Yeah, and also one thing to keep in mind, daily quick bites, and everyone else. Again, as I say quite a bit, deep fakes, AI, all of that right now is the worst it will ever be again. It will never be worse than it is today. And that's going to be true tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's only going to get better and better and better from here on out. All right, we've got some ground to cover here. Ground. Let's see. We got Marv White. We got you out of I can prep too. How you doing? I can prep too with a Canadian $2. What if they now decide not to pursue charges? Can they pursue charges? That's the question. It seems that if there's anything that can come out of the events that happened in the U.S., in California, they appear to be time barred. Now, my understanding, based on some of the English lawyers I've talked to, is that some of the things that have been alleged in the UK do not have a statute of limitations. I could be wrong. I don't know anything about that part of English criminal law. But if they don't pursue charges, then nobody's going to get charged. For what we've got now, this is what we've got now. Let's embiggen this here. Police are encouraging complainants to come forward. There have been no formal reports to the police in connection with the allegations against Russell Brand. Although in the last hour, Scotland Yard said they would be speaking again to the Sunday Times and Channel 4 to ensure any victims of crime they had spoken to were aware of how to report any criminal allegations to the police. Meanwhile, the BBC said they were urgently looking into the issues raised, warning there's flash photography, blah, blah. We're not going to watch the article. But so nobody has filed a police report. And the police are saying, no report. We're not going to, there's nothing for us to investigate because nobody's made any allegations of criminal wrongdoing. To do that, you've got to go down to the police station. You've got to write a statement. You've got to sign your name on it and swear under penalty of perjury that what you have said in that criminal report is the truth. And until then, they're not going to investigate it. They just don't go around knocking on doors, questioning people for various crimes that may or may not have been committed in the neighborhood. They need someone to come forward and say, hey, this happened to me. Then they can start to investigate it. It's like an objection in court. You don't object, it goes through. You don't file a criminal complaint, the police don't investigate it. That's just it. So if nobody tries to pursue charges, there's not going to be any charges to pursue. Meggles with the Aussie 2. It's all utter bollocks. Well, we don't know that. Now, don't make up your mind right now. I'm imploring you. It may all be utter bollocks, but it doesn't necessarily mean it. It could all be true. We have to see what evidence they have and weigh that evidence against our own experiences, our own rational thought, and to decide whether it meets our burden of proof for proving that these things actually occurred. At XComer Triple Z, verily these accusations doth reek of utter twaddle. Same goes for you. Let's not assume that until we have seen the evidence and analyzed it and looked at the evidence and said, yeah, this is a bunch of crap. Or, wow, oh my God, this is pretty solid evidence. I guess he did it. Jason J, this is starting to sound like the Grape episode of House MD, One Day, One Room. Thank you so much for the 5. I don't know, I haven't seen that. Well, I mean, I've seen all the houses. I just don't recall that one. No, I don't recall that episode, but I'm sure it does. I just can't recall that episode. And Squab Bob says, never wear a mask when swapping bodily fluids. Ugh. And Bella Stella dropping the big purple heat. Thank you so much with the dirhams over here. Creepy does not equal grape. And like you said, we just don't know. That's where I got to hang my hat. We just don't know. And I'm not going to say he did it or, yeah, he deserves to be hung, drawn, and quartered until I see evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. Fun dying. Again, thank you so much, Bella Stella, for that super generous tip there. Fun Dying says, until it goes to court, I won't believe it. I speak as someone who almost lost a job because of false statements by a female coworker. Video saved me. Thank you for the story. And another $5 from a Series of Bats. How are you doing, Series of Bats? Every time I hear anonymous, I picture a moose wearing wide, dark sunglasses trying to hide his identity. Okay. That was oddly specific, but all right. That was oddly specific. All right, we can do that. Well, we need a palate cleanser here. And darn it, I had some side cocktails, but my ice has already melted. Before we got onto the next topic, which is Alex Murdaugh. We got a little bit of Murdaugh going on here. We've got 3 Murdaugh stories. We're gonna run overtime today. I hope you all don't mind. Stick around because we're gonna probably go another 30 minutes overtime. I hope that doesn't bother any of you. It bothers me because I need to sleep. I got 2 hours sleep last night. Yeah, because there was a wild electric storm here last night. It was pretty intense. For like 90 minutes, 2 hours straight. It was just constant lightning. And I got some really good pictures of some really cool lightning. Just right outside my house. I'll put them up on Twitter a little bit later. But yeah, there was some fascinating, it was just like nonstop flash for like 2 hours. It was crazy. And so I was too busy watching that. I couldn't sleep. Sorry, Series of Bats. My brain was working too fast. Anonymous. Sorry. Yeah. Ugh. Thank you, Series of Bats. I'm sorry I asked. The brand story sounds like self-promotion. I hope you're not saying, well, clearly you're not saying brand is doing this to self-promote. That'd be the worst self-promotion in the history of mankind. Can't really be their promotion because they're not putting their names on it. Anonymous. Ugh. Yuck. I hate that anonymous joke. I really, really do. Shame on you. Meggles, what do you got to say, Meggles? Dang it, Jeff. It's almost 1 a.m. here, and your coverage has made me drink more wine than I should. Well, I'm going to start a video here in the Murdaugh deal, and then I'm going to go get rid of this ice and get new ice. And it looks like I didn't. That's probably a good thing too, because it looks like there's some soap here on the inside of this glass. It looks like the dishwasher didn't do its job properly. So, all right, let's move on to the Alex Murdaugh situation. We've got 3 things up in the air. As soon as we read Bella Stella's next super chat, thank you again, Bella Stella, for just being so super generous. Wow, where the hell jealous come from? You're so jealous of me and my internet fame. I'm internet famous. Sorry. Wow. Thank you so much for your generosity. That's what I was trying to say. That's weird. Overtime with the Law Racks after dark. Yeah, well, it's clearly after dark because I've got 2 snoring bulldogs over here. And I think I have found a really, really lame fix. Flux says, don't go, Jeff. I think I had a really lame fix for the doggo cam. Yeah, I'm just going to tape it to the tripod. I'm going to go buy some duct tape tomorrow, and we'll just duct tape the camera to the tripod. And that'll solve all of our doggo cam problems. Right. So we've got the jury misconduct thing. We've got the Alex Murdaugh status hearing. We've got a sentencing of one of his co-conspirators, one of his buddies that was also stealing money with him. Nicola Maxwell, member for 4 months, says, Jeff, it is bollocks. My weak mind is made up, same as it was with Savile. Okay, I hope you're not wrong, because if it turns out you're wrong, that would suck. For you, I guess, but Nicola, just try to at least be a little open-minded about it. That's what we got to do. Righto. Let's wow. Got dog snores galore over here. I'm trying to decide which of these we want to do first. I think what we'll do is we'll do his co-conspirator sentencing first. We'll watch the statement of his co-conspirator. Then we'll watch the judge sentencing him. Then we'll watch Alex Murdaugh's status hearing. And then we'll talk about the jury tampering. That's the order we'll do these things in. So we'll put this first video on here. This is his co-conspirator who has pled guilty to the state charges against him. Let me see. I want to make sure we have all this stuff out of the way here first. Anonymous. Yes, we definitely got that out of the way. Bella Stella and the ever lovely Nicola Maxwell's comments. Yes, we are caught up on our comments. So let's bring up our first video. This is his co-conspirator giving his comments. It's called Alex Murdaugh's co-conspirator cries as he addresses judge before sentencing. And I will put this in play, and then I'm going to go refresh my beverage. Right. I'm going to boost the volume seriously here.
Your Honor, excuse me. Thank you for the opportunity to address this court. For many years, I stood in this very courtroom.
So again, he is also a lawyer.
Many of those people had broken the law. I was very aware that one bad decision or a series of bad decisions can have life-changing,
I'll be right back.
irreversible consequences. Despite knowing this firsthand, I made some terrible decisions and I broke the law. Today, I offer this court no excuses. There are no excuses. I place the blame for my actions on my shoulders, nobody else's. I never imagined standing here and being in this circumstance. I have a profound and deep disappointment in myself. It is a very difficult and constant feeling that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Today, I'm grateful for the ability to thank the Satterfields and the Pinckneys for expressing their forgiveness to me when I was sentenced in federal court and for letting me know that they're praying for me. It means the world to me and is helping me through a very difficult time. Although I've already made these remarks in federal court. I want this court to know my regrets, my failings, and my heart. And I don't think I can say how sorry I am too much to any of these people. So I'll say these words again to the Satterfield family. Your mother was a very good woman. In the aftermath of losing her so tragically, suddenly, you deserved a lawyer that had only your best interest at heart. You deserve someone to be honest with you. You deserve someone who talked with you. You deserve someone who dealt with you fairly. And you deserve someone who would not betray your trust. I did not do those things. I failed you. To Michelle Pinckney, I not only betrayed you as a client, I betrayed you as a friend. You suffered a tremendous loss that no parent should ever endure. You and your entire family were good to me.
Yes, Ron Bacardi, they have him shackled in court because he is a convicted criminal. He is a convict. He is no longer a defendant. He is admitted to his guilt, and they're sentencing him here. And he is desperately trying not to go to jail for the rest of his life.
I have
Me?
no words
I'm having an old-fashioned.
for how empty I feel when I think of how you must feel about me. You deserved much better. I failed you and I failed your family. To both the Satterfields and the Pinckneys, for these failures, I am immensely sorry. I know that an apology is inadequate, but please know that I am genuinely incredibly sorry for my treatment of you. Next, I want to apologize to my former colleagues in the South Carolina Bar, South Carolina Supreme Court, the Office of Disciplinary Counsel. My actions have cast a negative perception on the legal profession. I understand that the public's confidence in our judicial system has eroded as a result of this case. I am deeply sorry that my actions have negatively impacted a profession that I loved and people that I care deeply for. I have permanently resigned from the South Carolina Bar because I no longer deserve the privilege of practicing amongst you.
Oh, even if you hadn't resigned, they would do it for you.
I want to apologize to my former law partners and staff. I know that my actions have caused a tremendous amount of stress, burden, and heartache on each one of you. I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused. I'm sorry to my friends and members of the Beaufort community that I have let down. I love Beaufort.
This is his co-conspirator, Mr. Fleming. His name is Fleming. I believe he worked at Murdaugh's law firm. He was stealing money along with him, and he admitted to his crimes.
I've always considered myself lucky to live amongst this community. And I'm extremely grateful for those who've stood up for me and offered kind words that were very much needed.
Yes, not Ian Fleming, different Fleming.
To my wife, my children, and my parents, I will spend the rest of my life regretting the shame.
No, that is not Patrick Troughton to
that
his
I've
right.
inflicted on our family. Each of you have been a tremendous source of support to me during the past 2 years. I don't feel that I deserve it, but I promise you that I will strive every day to earn back your respect and be worthy of your love.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
Thank you for standing by me during this very dark time. I love you so much. Your Honor, I know that I deserve to be punished for my conduct. I take full responsibility for my actions. I can assure this court that I will live the rest of my days trying to follow the lessons that I've learned, to remember what is actually important.
Do you
in life,
need to
how
be taught a
strength
lesson, not to steal
family
millions of
and
dollars from clients? Do you need to actually be taught
to
that
know that
lesson?
doing things for others is how to gain fulfillment out of life. It does not come through material possessions. A lot of people have spoken to me, my friends in the community, about what I've lost in this ordeal, but I'm looking at all that I've gained. I've had to take a very hard look in the mirror. I didn't like everything that I saw. I've grown from this both spiritually and emotionally. I've taken stock in my life and realized how lucky I am. I'm incredibly grateful for my wife, my children, my family, my friends, for their support and love. I believe there were times in my life when I took these people for granted, but I'm looking at life through a new lens. When I decided to plead guilty in federal court, I didn't have any assurances of what my sentence would be there or here. I made a conscious decision to have trust in the legal system, one that I betrayed. I betrayed this system, and I am perhaps undeserving of that.
Yes, probably.
I understand how difficult your role in this process is, and I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to address your court and for considering the information presented on my behalf.
Your Honor, in conclusion, I just like to make a very, very brief remarks. The time that you spent with us today, the allowing us to speak and allowing the people that want to come and talk on Corey's behalf to be heard. As I said, I know Your Honor has a very difficult job in this process, and I have always observed firsthand the dignity that you treat defendants
I don't
with.
think this judge finds it a really difficult job to
I would
sentence all these people to
respectfully
prison.
submit to you, Your Honor, that in this case, a concurrent 46-month sentence is sufficient punishment.
She wants 4 years in jail. Yeah, she wants him to get sentenced to 4 years in jail. Yeah, we know this judge does not put up with that. That's not something this judge is going to do. So that was his plea for leniency and his admission of guilt and wrongdoing and all the things he's learned, hopefully trying to minimize his sentence. Well, his sentence was handed down. And let's watch his sentencing here. Wait a minute, we have everything. Nope, we have one super chat from Carrie Crom. KK. What's up, KK? Carrie Crom. The $20 super chat, just a super chat. No words need to be said. Thank you so much. How much time has he already served legalizes? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. He's facing 720 years in jail. Something like that. He's facing something like 720 years in jail. So I mean, it's going to be a year or two at most he's served. But let's see what the judge eventually said.
Now, since coming here for Murdaugh and doing that trial in March, and I was back here 2 weeks ago for a trial, another trial in Colleton County. A mother who had been Teacher of the Year.
Okay, can we just all agree that regardless of whether you think Murdaugh is guilty or not, regardless of whether you know who this guy is and like him or not, can we just all agree that this judge is one of the slowest speakers on the damn earth? Let's put him up to 1.5 speed, because I seriously cannot listen to this judge at actual speed. I would just go insane. So let's bump him up to 1.5 speed here. Oh, and use it. Let's use this new this 1080 premium enhanced quality that YouTube is now offering us. Enhance. Right. Let's move the subtitles up. And let's make him talk faster. Because damn, this guy talks slow. Playback speed 1.5.
In the school system there. Left her 13-year-old totally handicapped and disabled child in a car beginning at 11 a.m. when it was 91 degrees outside, and left that child in the car until about 5 or 6 p.m. And she was constantly in and around the car with her boyfriend. And a climatologist testified that the temperature in that car got up to 139 degrees. And you're talking about remorse, and the testimonies and presentations over this mother and her mistake. She was on methamphetamine with her boyfriend. As remorseful, I cannot imagine anyone giving me a presentation of a mother who loved her child and who went wayward and more concerned about using drugs and pleasing her boyfriend than caring for her child. And she got 37 years in prison, convicted of murder. That was 2 weeks ago, here in the same 14th Circuit.
This isn't a murder trial, Judge.
And the folks who came to talk with him said, she loved her child. She would nothing she wouldn't do for her child. She had her child in the Special Olympics, but she abandoned the child. And so when I'm listening to Mr. Bamberg talk about Pinckney, Hakeem Pinckney, I'm thinking of that same type of vulnerability that child had. He was a child at the time, wasn't he? Yeah. And so he placed his trust in a respected member of the bar, a very respected member of this community. And I could tell that by all of the folks here. I sometimes say that there isn't very much between any of us. We all have good and we all have bad. And certainly everyone
There's good and bad in everyone. Ebony,
we're dealing with the consequences of the bad, and that is as bad as it gets in this case for a lawyer who has a prior record. He has no prior convictions, but when you carry on a scheme of over a decade, that's a record.
What?
Record that
did
not
Judge.
result in charges or convictions, but a record of his life.
Whoa, Judge, time out. Where the fuck is my window?
And as bad as it was with Mr.
Whoa. Judge, what the hell was that? He's saying he has a prior record, but he doesn't have any previous convictions, but he did this over 10 years, so that makes a record? That's not how any of that works, Judge. I think the judge just misspoke and tried to cover his ass.
Over a decade, that's not very much between any of us. We all have good and we all have bad, and certainly everyone was here to tell me about all the good in Mr. Fleming, but we're dealing with the consequences of the bad, and that is as bad as it gets in this case for a lawyer who has a prior record.
See, has a prior record means has a prior criminal record, meaning he's been convicted of crimes in the past. But then the judge says, but he hasn't been convicted of any crimes, but he committed crimes, and committing crimes makes it a record. No, it doesn't. Now he has a record. I hate this judge.
He has no prior convictions, but when you carry on a scheme of over a decade, that's a record.
No, it isn't.
Record that did not result in charges or convictions, but a record of his life.
Oh, shut up. That's obfuscating. I really hate that.
As bad as it was with Mr. Pinckney, then we moved to the Satterfields. Again, vulnerable people. So I imagine, and I know that many of the friends and family and colleagues were totally shocked. Not at what the good Corey Fleming.
No, the trial, it's over. Now they're just sentencing. The judge can say whatever he wants.
Corey Fleming in these cases. And quite frankly, when the people come to me and wanted to lay the burden on me, said, Judge, please be lenient. And that's not my responsibility. I believe in justice and mercy, but leniency is not part of Micah.
It's not appealable. He's just giving his opinion and telling him why he's sentencing him to what he's sentencing
Facing
him to.
195 years.
Oh, 195. Sorry. For some reason I had it up. Maybe it's Murdaugh that's facing 720. Somebody's facing a fuck ton of years for their crimes. Okay, so it's 120, whatever the hell he just said for this. 195, not or whatever. Not 720. I misspoke.
Prison.
It happens.
Anything else before I impose my sentence? Right, Mr. Fleming, if you come around for sentencing.
This is the guy again who has admitted the charges against him both in federal court and state court, and now he's just about to get he's about to learn his fate. And Torin 3 says, "Want me to try a Godzilla element for your braid?" Yes, of course. I messaged you earlier on Twitter. Yes, please. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for that, Torin 3. And Andrew Hansen. Is that error? No, the trial's done. There was no trial. He admitted to guilt. There's no error. He's guilty because he admitted to being guilty to federal and state crimes. And now the judge is just saying, look, here's why I'm sentencing you to what I'm sentencing you to. And the judge can pretty much talk about anything he wants. Crazy by Proxy, who's been a member for 2 months, says, could he be talking the time of the crime? But no, he just misspoke, or he tried to be clever. It's dumb what he said. You know, he's like, oh, he's been committing. So it's not a criminal record. It's a record of his life. And he just misspoke and caught himself and tried to cover it up. Tank 3, your work is amazing. Yes, if you don't know who Tank 3 is, go over to, Torin 3. Tank 3. Torin 3 does some amazing beadwork, like Japanese traditional braid work. It's amazing. Go over to Torin 3 and check him out. He's about ready to start making me my own little braided thing here, which will hang somewhere so that y'all can see it. All right, we got one more thing here, and then we'll jump right back into it. Kaufman 921, a new member. Welcome, Mr. Kaufman, and your dog 920, or Ms. Could be Ms. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know why. I assumed your gender. Kaufman 921, thank you so much. What was that? Oh, weird. Kaufman 921 became a member of the Clean and Sober crew. Thank you so much. So here we go. Let's find out what he gets. The judge is about to drop the judgment hammer on him. Hey, T-Rex, what's up? Long time no see, buddy. Where'd you go? There you are. Oh, no, there you are. Hey, T-Rex.
My heart bleeds for you because I have no doubt of the quality of human being that you are, as reflected by all of the positive comments. But you must suffer the consequences of your actions in these cases that you're standing before me for, and tempering justice with mercy. It's my responsibility to impose a sentence. And there are so many. If I were to spend time here now,
you can see Torin 3's work on his channel, YouTube channel, Torin 3.
Indictments individually, we'd be here for a few hours probably. So suffice it to say, with regard to the Satterfields, and need my clerk here to take notes for me.
Sue, stop spoiling things.
10, where the exposure is 0 to 5, the sentence is 5 years.
5 years.
I wrote insurance. Is that insurance fraud?
Yes, sir.
That's count number or indictment number. Count 11. On the exposure is 0 to 10, the sentence is 10 years.
15 years.
On the breach of trust with a 10-year possibility or exposure, the sentence is 10 years.
25 years.
On the money laundering, where the exposure is 0 to 20 years, the sentence is 10 years.
35
year
years.
Breach of trust, sentence is 5 years.
I've lost track. Is it 35 years?
Money laundering,
40
I
years?
believe it is. It's 5 years.
45 years.
Computer crime, sentence is 5 years.
50 years.
Each of those will run concurrent with each other.
So you can do things concurrently or consecutively. Consecutively means you serve your first 5 years, then you serve the 10-year sentence, then you serve the 20-year sentence. And consecutively means all of them are just served at the same time. So rather than going this year plus this year plus this year plus this year, you just lump them all together and you serve the longest sentence. So the longest sentence there is 10 years, I believe.
As to the breach of trust involving the Pinckneys, counts 5 and 9, is it?
Yes,
where the exposure is 5 years, the sentence is 5 years. The 30-day breach of trust, count 6, the sentence is time served. On the conspiracy charge, sentence is 5 years. On the breach of trust, where the exposure is 10 years, the sentence is 10 years. And that sentence will run consecutive to the sentence that you're currently serving. All the sentences otherwise will run concurrent with each other. I'm going to defer any restitution hearings. I believe it's
Okay, so yeah, in the first part, the longest sentence was 20 years. And then he got, in the second batch, the longest was 10 years, but they still lumped both of those groups together and said they're all running concurrently. So the longest he's going to serve in state prison is 20 years. He was facing the 170, whatever the hell it was, 120, whatever the fuck it was. But he's only serving 20 years. But it's running consecutively with his federal sentence that he's already serving. So he has to serve the federal sentence first. And when that's done, he'll serve his 20 state years.
It's just too convoluted for me to get a true handle on what the state is seeking and what should be ordered. And I tend to think that it's, well, I don't want to prejudge whether it's necessary or not, but I'm going to defer any ruling regarding any restitution. I'm not sure whether the state is actually seeking it, whether there's an actual loss. If there is, whether the parties can agree. We can have a separate hearing solely dealing with restitution if necessary. As the sentence of the court, best wishes, Mr. Fleming.
So they'll worry about restitution at some point later. And that's it. He's gone. He's done. It's over for him. He's going down for 20 years in state. Someone said no Mormon jokes. I missed a good Mormon joke. What did I miss? Because being a wayward and errant Mormon that I am, I enjoy a good Mormon joke. Yeah, Ricky says, W. Daisy Girl Williams, no Mormon jokes. What did I miss? What did I miss? Now you have to tell it again because I missed it. Talk with Sally's in the house. What's up, Talk with Sally? Good to see you here. Talk with Sally, another great channel you should check out. She was on my F It Friday stream. If you saw that, she dove off the back of her amazingly large boat down in Lake Powell in southern Utah. No king shaming here, Ricky. Come on. What Mormon joke did I miss? Anyway, all right. I missed. I guess I just. MG Law also is here. MG Law, what another amazing channel you should check out. Hey, no, 20 was the highest. Yes, you're correct. MG Law in the house. What's up? Good morning. I assume you're commuting to work or something. You're MG Law. Check him out as well. It's a great channel. Woefully, criminally undersubscribed. All right. Go, Gojira. Awesome. Great song. Godzilla. What a great song. So, all right. That takes care of the co-conspirator. Next, we're going to go look at his status report because now we have a status hearing on on Murdaugh's financial crimes. And we're all interested in that, I'm sure. Because there's a criminal trial coming up after that. Let's see, where are we at here? Sorry, now I've got Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla song running through my head. Thank you very much for that. RBMKA56. The song is just playing. It's earwormy, but it's a great song to be earwormed. Go, 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 Godzilla. Oh no, there goes Tokyo. Oh, Godzilla. There we are. Alex Murdaugh smiles in court. Dun, dun, dun. That's our salacious headline. Alex Murdaugh smiling in court. Well, let's check out his smile here. Let's make sure we got everything. Kaufman's new membership, we got that. Oh, I did have one thing starred here that I wanted because hi low 56. Jeff, I hope your old fashioned is a superior brandy one and is properly muddled. The sugar is always properly muddled, but no brandy. An old fashioned should be with the most delicious, most high quality rye you have available. And this is a Whistle Pig 10-year rye we're using for our old fashions today, some of which I have just spilled on my shirt. No, never make an old fashioned with brandy. It should be with rye. All right, that's out of the way. Gojira is the original name in Japanese. Yes, you are correct. You absolutely are correct, Ron Bacardi. If that's your real name. Gojira. All right, let's get on with Alex Murdaugh's status hearing. We're only going to watch about 11 minutes of it. It was rather involved, and the audio is absolute garbage. It's just shit audio. So bear with that. But we get to see Dick Poon animated. Dick Poon there's a little bit of fireworks coming out of Dick Poon. There's some Poon fireworks in this one. Dick Poon fireworks. Let's go. Wait, that was the wrong one. How about if I bring up the right file? Where the hell did I put this? I can see it there. There we are. We're going to have to bump this because, again, the audio blows monkey chunks. Garbage audio like Daft Punk. Oh, come on. Shame on you.
This is State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh. Your Honor is aware he's been indicted in a slew of state grand jury charges, and I'm happy to read those numbers into the record. They are extensive. We have 2021 GS 4727 in Orangeburg County, containing a number of white-collar counts. 2021 GS 4728 in Bamberg County. These were indicted in the state grand jury in November of 2021. We have 2021 GS 4729 in Allendale County, also indicted in November 21. 2021 GS 4730 in Beaufort County, also indicted in November 2021. 2021 GS 4731 in Carlton County, also indicted in November of 2021. 2021 GS 4732 in Hampton County, indicted in December 2021. 2021 GS 4733 in Hampton County, also indicted in December 21. 2021 GS 4734 in Hampton County, also indicted in December 21. 2021 GS 4735 in Beaufort County, indicted in December 21. 2021 GS 4736 in Hampton County, also indicted in December 21. 2021 GS 4737 in Hampton County, indicted by the state grand jury in December 21. 2021 GS 4738 in Carlton County, that's indicted in December 2021. 2021 GS 4729 was a superseding in Allendale County in January 2022. 2022 GS 4701 in Hampton County in January 2022. 2022 GS.
Lots of case numbers, lots of cases.
January 22 was when it was indicted. 2022 GS 4703 in Allendale County in January 22. 2021 GS 4727 superseding in March of 22 in Orangeburg County. 2021 GS 4730 superseding in Beaufort County in March of 2022. 2022 GS 4701 in Hampton County in April. 2022 GS 4702 in Hampton County in April. 2022 GS 4703 is superseding in Allendale County in April of 2022. 2022 GS 4710 in Carlton County in June of 2022. 2022 GS 4723 in Hampton County in August of 2022. 22 GS 4724 in Carlton County in August of 2022. Finally, our last two, 2022 GS 4734 in Hampton in December of 2022, and 2023 GS 4703 in Carlton County, indicted in April of 23. Your Honor, the state grand jury indictments that I've just listed against Alex Murdaugh represent 101 total charges for an alleged
101 separate charges he's being tried with. Thank fuck they didn't read all 101 charges and case numbers. That humming noise is probably my dog snoring. That noise? That's strawberry snoring. Yeah, that's strawberry snoring. So yeah, the snoring noises is actually the dog's snoring. So yeah, it's a low hum. How cute! It's just my fat bulldog's purring. All right, let's keep going here.
Loss of almost $8.8 million. Your Honor, the state is here, as we have discussed, I believe, back in April, requesting a trial date for Mr. Murdaugh. I believe that we look at some of the other co-conspirators that Corey Fleming has pled. We're supposed to go to trial this week. But Mr. Murdaugh remains the state's priority, and I believe the case that is the priority would be the case involving the Satterfield, Your Honor. That by far represents the greatest single loss among all the victims. That would be 2021 GS 4730 being here in Beaufort County. And the state.
So they're saying the most.
The
case with the highest priority is the case regarding stealing the millions of dollars from his housekeeper's settlement, the housekeeper who died on his premises, and he stole all of the settlement money. It was a $4 million settlement money from her children. They're saying that case should have priority.
Trial date as soon as reasonably possible, sometime before the end of this year, to try Alex Murdaugh on those particular charges.
And he wants that trial to start as soon as possible. Now, Dick Boone is going to have some arguments about why this trial should not happen as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, there are a number of different objections we have to trying any of these cases this year. We previously got the impression from Your Honor when we met at the last status conference that you would not be trying any of these cases, and you'd be leaving the bench on January 1.
Tell me about that impression again.
That was my impression based on your discussion.
Okay, if you can't hear any of the shit that's going on, Harpootlian is saying, my impression was your Honor was not going to be trying any of these cases because you were leaving the bench on January 1st. And then he said, tell me what the question was again. So he's repeating the question.
Maybe I misread you. I've done that from time to time during the process. If I did, I apologize. But in the meantime, Mr. Griffin and I have scheduled other matters for this fall. Both he and I have a federal trial in December. Before that, Your Honor, and I think I mentioned this the last time we talked, I have the oldest case in Lexington County.
So there, the prosecution says they want the trial for at least for the housekeeper's part, the $4 million or whatever it was. They want that to start before the end of the year. And Dick Boone is saying that he and Griffin can't start it because they have a federal trial in December. And he also in November has to take the longest outstanding case in Lexington County before that. And Flux asks, why was the other dude in white and gray stripes and he is in full orange? Murdaugh is in full orange because he's in state court, and the other dude is in white and gray stripes because he is currently serving his federal prison sentence. He's serving his federal prison sentence, and during that he pled guilty to the state charges. He'll be wearing orange after he finishes serving his federal prison sentence.
Civil case involves the death of 5 children killed by their father who sentenced to death for it. We sued the Department of Social Services 8 years ago, and finally on a trial docket. I've mentioned this is something I mentioned.
It's on a trial docket for him.
Judge, take the microphone out of your fucking mouth, dude.
On October, and I have a email here from Judge McCaslin who's trying a trial on Motion heard on October 13th, trial roster for October 30th. And it's at least a 2-week or 3-week trial. Mr. Griffin had an additional conflict in Texas in a federal trial for October 30th that week. So I guess this is September. It looks like most of October.
Okay, so yeah, someone where'd it go? Oh yeah, King Ginger 333 asks, how long was the other guy's federal sentence? Corey Fleming, he was sentenced to about 4 years in federal prison, just shy of 4 years. Then he'll go serve his 20 state years. You're welcome, Flux. Love you.
Early in November. And Your Honor, it's going to take some time to get ready for these cases. But more importantly, and maybe this is the toughest thing I have to say, and that is this. This case was finished 6 months ago. It clearly, I don't think anyone disputes, has had more publicity than any case in the history of this state and maybe the country. On national television every day for 6 weeks, the motions motions hearings were covered, and they're here again today. It has been podcasted, blogged. We've got podcasters out there who are gripping their 15 minutes and hanging by their fingernails, wanting more of their 15 minutes of fame and continue to talk about this.
That's me, I guess. I'm the podcaster who's gripping by my fingernails, wanting more of my fit. I don't want to fucking talk about Murdaugh ever again, but we're making it happen because, hey, it's a legitimate story, Dick Poon. Dick Poon, I'm with you, bruh. Come on, man. Don't do it. Don't do us YouTubers and podcasters. Well, at least the smart ones. Don't do us like that. Come on, bro.
I understand one of the solutions to massive pretrial publicity is a change of venue. There are 2 cases I want to cite to the court, both of them the United States Supreme Court cases. Murphy versus Florida, and the cited, it's Shepard versus Maxwell. There are 2 kinds of pretrial publicity that
T-shirt guy taking pics
would indicate a continuance and or a change of venue required. Prejudice is presumed from pretrial publicity when pretrial publicity is sufficiently prejudicial and inflammatory, and the prejudicial pretrial publicity saturated the community where the trials are held. They found presumed pretrial publicity in a case much less renowned.
I do. For what it's worth, I do think it needs to be moved to a new venue.
To try this case in less than a year after the verdict came in the other case, don't we need to let it calm down a little bit? Where are you going to get a jury? Mars? There's nowhere in this.
He's like, where are you going to get an unbiased jury? Mars? Again, I'm even changing venue. Essentially, when you change venue, you go over to the next county and you have the legal fiction that people in the next county are never going to have heard of this case and be completely unbiased. It is a legal fiction, but it's one we all just kind of close our eyes and say, okay, another county would be more fair than the one he's in now. But yeah, he's like, why are you trying this so quickly after the other trial? It's only been 6 months. We need to let this settle down because you're going to have to go to Mars if you want to find someone that hasn't heard about this trial right now.
Allendale, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Colleton, Hampton.
I appreciate your sense of humor.
It's not a sense of humor. We have many counties where these indictments were issued. I am not presuming that a jury cannot be impaneled. Just as the trial that took place in Colleton County, there was no motion to change venue. And I'm not presuming any prejudice, and the test is not based on speculation. The test is whether or not a jury can be impaneled. You first have to attempt to get a jury. according to the law.
What I'm saying is, I think it's being exercised of utility. I know this, we've been interviewing jurors, as you know, in the murder trial.
Hey, Lost in Law, what's up, brother? Been a minute. True crime podcasts are a better magnet for white women than pumpkin spice latte.
I want on this trial. I want on this trial. And that, I'm afraid, is what happened on that jury. We got a motion for a new trial after discovered evidence.
Again, he's raising the point that there were jurors in the criminal trial who publicly stated that they wanted to be on that jury. They wanted to be part of the trial. And they have the motion for the new trial, which we're going to talk about in just a second.
The Attorney General is going to file their response tomorrow. We believe the Court of Appeals will order a jury before a circuit court judge to determine whether or not the corporate court tampered with that jury. And that is and so we would go forward with another trial while that matter is pending, while that matter is being litigated.
Probably not in Cumberland County.
Well, Your Honor, the idea that somehow something happens in Cumberland County doesn't affect what happens in Beaufort County. I mean, this is a national case. I mean, do they not have television in Allendale County?
I don't know.
Do they not have the internet?
I don't know.
Well, what's the hurry? That's the other point. What is the hurry? He's pleading in federal court next Thursday. Every allegation the state has made.
So again, Murdaugh is going to be in federal court this Thursday.
Victims will have their day in court. We plead, Mr. Murdaugh indicated he pleads guilty to the state charge, but the state insists on doing them in serial so they get 3 convictions so they get life without parole. A guy who's already serving 2 life sentences without parole. This is just another attempt to get more publicity, to make this another national case. And, Your Honor, I'm offended with the Attorney General is waiting. He's got many other cases that are much older than this, but granted, court TV won't be there for them. This is another effort at creating a national spectacle. Now, Your Honor has some things to say about Mr. Murdaugh in his sentencing. You obviously believe he's guilty of that. You obviously think the jury found him guilty of that. But I would ask you to put those feelings aside and give us a chance to litigate this jury tampering issue. Allow Mr. Griffin and I to have time, if there's going to be a trial on these, to prepare for those trials, which we won't in our calendar for the fall. And third thing is, why doesn't the Attorney General put some distance between the conviction in the murder case and the trial, if there has to be a trial, on the financial cases? I'm, as you know, as a prosecutor, I'm bewildered by this. I'm certainly they can do it, but why? Why? What is the hurry?
I mean, that's a good point. He's saying, why are we hurrying? Why are we trying to rush through this trial? There's other cases that have been outstanding a lot longer than this one. Let them go first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this isn't about a spectacle. These white-collar indictments have been investigated by the state grand jury, which is a partnership with the AG and SLED. And these particular, the Satterfield indictments were indicted in November of 2021, just about 2 months after the side of the road happened. This is about allegations that represent an assault on the state judiciary. And because of that, they need to be answered. Your Honor is exactly correct that the law does not presume prejudice. If he wants to file a motion where he cites law, and then we can respond, but the law is very clear. It's that you don't presume prejudice, you try to seat a jury. And only through that process can the court then assess whether or not a jury can be seated. We are in 2023. The reality of the media environment is what it is. And unless we're going to say the judicial system just can't function because of publicity, that just leaves nothing left to happen. This is just the reality that we live in. And so we depend on the ability of the system, we depend on the ability of the jury selection process to seat jurors. And that's what should happen, and only if there's an inability to do so can this court then consider whether or not there needs to be some change of venue or some relief or something like that. That is exactly what the process should be. And this is a big county, this is Beaufort County, and fundamentally, just as we rely on lawyers, just as we rely on judges to be objective about what they do, and that includes the defense motion here. Okay, we have an objective duty. We also depend, the system depends on jurors to be objective as well. And to just say, because there's publicity, nothing can be done, just throws the system out and leaves no recourse whatsoever. And what the defense can't do is try to essentially run down the street to the federal authorities and bypass the accountability that needs to happen in state court for a direct assault through use of a state law license on this courtroom, Your Honor, on the other courtrooms from the other counties that I named. The state judiciary needs, the state judicial system needs to answer for the allegations of this assault. And that's why this is important. That's why this case has priority, and that's why the state seeks to move it forward.
Briefly, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Well, this wasn't his argument a year ago when he called the murder case first. The murder case was indicted after the financial crimes, and it wasn't that important then. Now, all of a sudden, it's, the most important thing in the world. I would suggest, Your Honor, that he made a decision to try the murder case first, not the financial crimes. And as a result, we've been put in the position, of where we're at today. In addition to that, I would state for the record, I want this clear, based on that is Mr. Griffin and my trial schedules in other cases between now and the end of the year, we would be ineffective in preparing for this trial, any trial.
Your Honor, that is absolutely not what happened. I even said I was happy to trial the white collar cases first. It was the defense's motion for a speedy trial and Mr. Harpootlian's waiver.
Legal-minded friend, Karen Cole, how are you doing? It's been a while. Haven't you? Yeah, we talked about it for the first hour and a half.
Okay, let's do it.
Almost 2 hours. Hour and 45 minutes we talked about it.
It was up to him.
We'll have to go back and check it
He
out.
called the case today. The solicitor calls the case. The prosecutor. We don't call the case. It was his decision. He decided to go with the murder case first.
Your Honor, the state is happy to show up in court and seek justice for these very important matters whenever a date can be scheduled. And the only reason the murder went first was because of Mr. Harpootlian.
Well, the court's not going to defer to Texas and setting a trial date. And a trial date will be set prior to the end of this year. You all have a choice of either the week of November 13th, November 27th, and there's an Allendale term scheduled.
Concern it.
Or December 11th. You will have a choice of either of those 3 weeks to try whatever case is pending in those individual venues.
Your Honor, could we confer and email you today on what our preferences are?
No, we can confer and resolve it this morning while we maybe move on to the next matters. We have other matters.
Your Honor, without waiving my previously made objections, November 27th would allow us to deal with the other trials, although not really give us time to prepare for this, because you've already heard my position on that.
Well, November 27th, let's see.
Monday after Thanksgiving.
All right, let's see. And we're attempting to coordinate with other existing terms of courts in the various places. All right.
Your Honor, where's the venue on November 27th?
I'm open to whatever venue. The predominant number of cases are pending in Hampton County.
Then the state's preference would be to do the Satterfields in Beaufort because that is the greatest single loss. But if there are scheduling issues, we will do Hampton. I do believe that it makes the most sense to do that one first just because of the way this case is developed. And so the state would seek to call that one in Beaufort County.
This is a status hearing in his state financial crime.
Let's see.
101 state charges.
27.
I don't know, King Ginger.
27th is a general sessions terms scheduled here in Beaufort County.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yes.
That works for the state, yes, sir. Obviously, I need to coordinate with the solicitor's office as well.
Right now, I think it's just going to deal with
whatever coordination is necessary, unless there's a death penalty case scheduled.
Right now, I think the charges they're talking about are only the charges that relate to him stealing about $4 million of settlement money from his housekeeper's death that occurred on his property. That's what I don't think they're talking about doing all 101 of them.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so the case is set for trial on November 27th.
That's Satterfield, right?
Is that the matter you're seeking, the Satterfield trial?
Yes, sir. That would be first indulgence. 2021 GS 4730.
Thank you for indulgence. Got nothing else, I'm sorry.
Do y'all want to set a deadline for any motions that might be filed?
Yes, sir. I think that's advisable. I can look at my phone real quick, Your Honor. I would say because of the week prior, obviously, is Thanksgiving, that perhaps the Friday the 10th might be the best day for motions and then responses to the following week.
Hurry up. Set the damn date so we can get on with it. God, this is going way longer than I thought.
I think we have significant pretrial issues. It might even make sense to have a hearing prior to the trial date so that those, if there's a resolution of those, we can get the ground running that trial week.
Your Honor, if none of this is a big concern, I don't know why we just can't deal with it that morning. I mean, our schedules really are complicated. Can't we have the hearing that morning?
The morning of the trial?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Well, a deadline for filing the motions.
I don't have a problem with that. 10 days prior to trial, and responses 5 days before trial.
Okay. I think, in effect, that's what you proposed.
Yeah, Your Honor, and I apologize, it's in this Veterans Day. We could have the motions filed on the 17th.
My God knows I don't want to have to work on Veterans Day. Oh, my God.
I just pointed that out, Your Honor.
I know the state government people enjoy these holidays, but we're going to have to rearrange a major personal items to deal with this. I plan to take Thanksgiving and visit my wife overseas. That ain't happening now.
Wait, Dick Harpootlian's wife is overseas? What?
Perhaps we'll have to work Veterans Day. I'm sorry.
All right.
I would say these people next to me work just as hard as they do, and Your Honor saw that.
We'll be working Veterans Day.
Wow. Okay, for those of you that are wondering, Dick Boone just said he wants to spend Thanksgiving visiting his wife overseas. Kitty, lol, his wife can't even stand him. No. His wife, Jamie Lindler Harpootlian, is currently the ambassador of the United States to the Republic of Slovenia. So Dick Harpootlian's wife is the ambassador to Slovenia. Damn. Yeah, I just found this out. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole. I just searched it. Like, why would his wife be somewhere he's not? But yes, his wife is currently the ambassador of the United States to the Republic of Slovenia. And well, there you go. That's interesting. Well, just in case you all is curious, let's stop that screen and present this one, shall we? Yes, this would be Miss Harpootlian. This would be Mrs. Harpootlian. This would be Mrs. Dick Boone right here. So yeah, that's. Uh-oh. Oh, his wife is a lawyer as well. Go figure. But yeah, that's Ms. H right there. All right, stop it, stupid site. WLTX, your website sucks. But anyway, that's Mrs. Harpootlian. All right. Right. So there we go. Anyway, just in case you were wondering, that's her. She is the ambassador to Slovenia. Huh. All right, let's go. Let's continue on with this trial. They're just about to. I know what the date is. I can just tell you, but I'm not going to make you suffer through this.
That's a deadline. Maybe you have it prepared the day before. Veterans Day is on the Friday the 10th. Is that it? Well, the deadline will be Thursday the 9th. How about that?
And then responses in 5 days.
And responses in 5 days will determine when and if a hearing is needed prior to the 27th. If you put all of that in order and circulate it to council for any comment, and I'll sign a written order addressing all of what we've just discussed.
More prepared, Your Honor.
Anything else we need to talk about in this case?
I hate to ride.
I said in this case. No, you're not in this case, are you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, we're coming to you next.
I know, I'm just charged with him in the other case.
You're charged with what?
My client is charged jointly with Mr. Murdaugh for everything. They're not been scammed.
He's indicated he's calling the State v. Murdaugh, State v. not Murdaugh. Yeah, State v. Murdaugh in the Satterfield case. Unless you want to voluntarily join in.
Your Honor, I do not voluntarily join in anything.
All right, well.
All right, so there we have it. Dick Boone and his client Alex Murdaugh will be in trial to begin the the state financial crimes trial on November 27th. It may get bumped back, of course, because these things often do. But barring any changes, the state financial crimes trial dealing with his stealing about $4 million from his housekeeper settlement will begin on November 27th, the week after Thanksgiving in the U.S. Whew. All right. So that leads us to the last thing we have to talk about, the Murdaughs. God, we're going way over time. Sorry here, folks. We're going to get through this one thing, and then we're going to do Sarah Boone, and then we'll wrap it up. I have got to get my dumb ass to sleep. But I'm having so much fun talking to you guys. Ms. K. Grift with the 7 months membership chat. Nothing good to say. Just didn't want to lose my membership chat. Hi, Jeff. Well, there's nothing bad to say either. So, cool. Thanks, Ms. K. Grift. Love you. Good to see you here. Mavia with a $5 super chat. As much as I don't like Murdoofus, I feel like the judge is extremely biased, and I like him even less. Yeah, this judge needs to retire. He doesn't need to hear the financial crimes trial. He doesn't need to hear it. We don't need to hear it again. Just plead guilty, Murdaugh. Eileen, or I assume that's Eileen because it reads Eileen to me. I know I've probably mispronounced it before. If Newman becomes a witness in the jury tampering case, is all of this scheduling moot? I don't know. I'll have to see. Who knows when? If this goes to hearings, who knows when it'll happen? We'll just have to kind of wait and see. All these things shall be made known. And peace, peony. Peony, I like peonies. I used to have a peony tree, but I gave it to a girl that I was really interested in. Super hot model chick. Anyway, that's beside the point. Peace Peony says, totally off topic. Well, couldn't be more off topic than the comment I just made. Can you give me a whiskey recommendation for my son's 25th birthday? He has a sophisticated whiskey palate. Hey, strawberry, doggy. No, sophisticated whiskey palate. 25th birthday. I don't know what your budget is, but if you don't mind spending a little bit of money, and if you can find it, an Octomore, Octomore, Octomore Scotch from Bruichladdich Distillery. It's very, very heavily peated, but it is really, really nuanced if you get into it. It's about $2.50 a bottle. That's a little bit pricey. Glendronach, Glendronach, is some amazingly heavy sherry cask filtered. A finished Scotch that tastes amazing. Glendronach, I go with the 12-year, 18 if you can afford it. Or if you just want a solid whiskey, Dalmore, anything from Dalmore, the most expensive bottle of Dalmore you can find, starting with like a Dalmore, it's Dalmore, Dalmore 12, great whiskey. Dalmore 15, even better. Dalmore cigar malt whiskey is exquisite. Anything over like 21 years and older is just ridiculously expensive. But if you can find and afford a bottle, it runs about $400 a bottle. But it is absolutely amazing. It's the Dalmore, Dalmore, King James the Third. I know Flux has had Chandler Remington, Ozzy Overlord, and Nick Ricada. They shared my bottle in Texas. They can tell you how good that bottle of Scotch is. I'm sorry. Did I say King James? That's like a Bible. Sorry. I think I said King James there, didn't I? No, it's Dalmore King Alexander III. Dalmore King Alexander III is an amazing. I mean, like I said, it's like $400 a bottle, and it will spoil you to on whiskey forever. So just go anywhere. So those are kind of the ones that I would suggest, depending on what your price point is. If money is not an option, Flux says Dalmore is amazing. I had it at one time. Okay, but if you want my personal favorite, my personal desert island whiskey that I could drink every day for the rest of my life and never grow tired, 2 whiskeys from Glenmorangie, Glenmorangie, Glenmorangie 18-year and Glenmorangie Signet. Glenmorangie Signet is my desert island whiskey. That's the whiskey I could drink every day for the rest of my life and never, ever, ever grow tired of it. It's very chocolatey. It's amazing. So those are some ideas. Lefroy Glory. Lefroy Glory is great if you like a peaty Scotch. But if you have a refined palate, I would go beyond Lefroy and go into the Octomore as we talked. But Lefroy Glory is a great bottle. Longmorn 16 is great. So I've had this bottle of Lefroy Glory on my shelf for about 4 years now, unopened, because I can't find another bottle of Lefroy Glory to replace it when I finish it. Glenmorangie 20-year, 25-year, great. They are, but 18-year I think is a solid whiskey. I actually prefer the 18 over the 20-year, maybe not over the 25-year, but Signet is just boom. Yeah, I did say King James because you had King James. No, I had the Bible on my mind. Yeah. Why is it always a desert island and never a deserted island of desserts? Well, because Glenmorangie Signet kind of tastes like dessert. It's actually made from like a chocolate wheat, like a chocolatey strain of wheat. It's very, very chocolatey, very creamy. It's amazing. Glenmorangie Signet is just fantastic. Flux says, you ruined me. I can never have regular whiskey anymore. No, the Dalmore King Alexander III is a special bottle of whiskey. Yeah, it's good. That's why I took it to Anime Masori. That's why I threw down the serious cash for it, because I love my friends and I wanted my friends to enjoy something good. So there you go. Okay. King James says, don't lie. You were thinking about me. I feel so special. Okay. I was thinking about you. The Glenmorangie 10-year, the Quinta Ruban, not so much the La Santa, but the Quinta Ruban, the 10-year, they are very, very citrusy. There's like a lot of orange. Yeah, exactly. Orange peel. And so adding chocolate to that sounds so good. Oh yeah. Because what they do for the Signet, I believe they take the base 10-year whiskey and then they age it in other casks for 6 years or so. So yeah, go ahead. There you go. If you want another bottle of Lefroy Glory, we can work that out when you come for Anime Matsuri next. Anna May Matsuri. It all tastes like burning to me. All right. Well, anyway, that's enough whiskey talk. See, I could nerd out on whiskey for forever, but that's not what people are here for. We currently have 874 people listening to me ramble on about whiskey that they don't give a shit about and will never care about. So we better get right back to this. We have 787 likes. That's a really good number. Thanks, guys. I haven't harped on it. But Tank Rat has gifted 10 Legal Vices memberships, 20 Legal Vices memberships 1 minute ago. So if you are one of these amazing people that have just received an amazing gifted membership from Tank Rat, give him an amazing thank you for that. Thank you so much, Tank Rat. That is so much appreciated. I want to do that. I want to do a whiskey talk Wednesday. Like we should do it on a Wednesday. I want to do a whiskey show where we just talk whiskey. And see that's what we like. I told everybody, like, Maritime Monday. I usually do a Maritime Monday show where we talk about maritime disasters, maritime law related things. We haven't done it for the past 2 weeks because Murdaugh has been rearing his ugly head, literally his ugly head, for the past 2 weeks. But next week we'll be getting back to, hopefully, to Maritime Monday. We'll be getting back to Maritime Monday, but hopefully we can do the interview that I have lined up. The interview will either be next Monday or the Monday after. It's with the founder of because like you guys know that as legal vices, I have some vices: whiskey vices, cigar vices, pipe vices, and watch vices. I love my watches. I love watch collecting. I love all things related to that. We will be having the founder of Nomadic Watches on for Maritime Monday. What does he have to do with Maritime Monday? He's an experienced mariner himself. He's an ocean diver, an ocean swimmer. He's been on ships. He does a lot of things, and the Nomadic watches are made in Belfast, and Belfast has an incredibly in-depth, incredibly deep, and long maritime history. So, and I own a Nomadic watch, and so we'll be having him on to talk about Nomadic watches, talk about his own maritime experiences and adventures. So that'll be next Monday on Maritime Monday. Tomorrow and Wednesday is Johnny Depp Amber Heard sidebar readings with hopefully Ozzy Overlord and Chandler Remington. It doesn't look like we can get Megan Fox for tomorrow, but hopefully she'll be available for Wednesday. Thursday will be O.J. Simpson with Remy Martin, and Friday is kind of up in the air right now. So we'll be and then we'll do Friday, whatever Friday is. Saturday morning my time, Friday evening U.S. time should be Flux, myself, and Danny on direct doing an unexplained stream about shortwave radio numbers channels. And then next Monday, hopefully the Nomadic Watches founder as a guest. There we go. That's it. Let's get back to this. Sorry, everybody that was like, would you just shut the fuck up and get on with the show? Let's talk about not Whiskey Talk Wednesday. Let's get rid of that. Let's talk about the jury tampering scandal. The jury tampering scandal deals with the allegations that the clerk of court, which is an elected position in South Carolina, Becky Hill, who was the elected clerk of court, the allegations are she interfered with the jury by telling them to ignore Alex Murdaugh's testimony, not be fooled by him. She said they can't have a smoke break until they come back there with a verdict. The verdict shouldn't take too long. Allegations are she communicated with the foreperson of the jury alone, in secret, in a single occupancy bathroom several times, told other jurors they couldn't ask what they talked about, allegedly got one of the jurors kicked off because the clerk of court was concerned that she was going to vote not guilty. So there's a lot of allegations against her that were made. Phoebe Purvis, what's up? And now because we if you go back and you look at the in my playlists, the Alex Murdaugh playlist, previous Alex Murdaugh stream was we were reading the motion, and what the defense has done, what Murdaugh's lawyers have done is they have filed a motion to suspend the appeals proceedings. So this is not an appellate issue. This is completely separate from appellate issues. Who is Remy Martin? It's a good, decent cognac. So they're asking to suspend the appellate proceedings and hold a new trial. So what they have to do is they have to make a motion to suspend the appeals proceedings and then make a motion to allow them to file another motion for a new trial. And that's what they did last week. We covered that in my last Murdaugh stream I did. So go back about a week and you'll see it there and watch that. Today, we're going to look at the response filed by the prosecution. The prosecutors have filed their response to Alex Murdaugh's motion to suspend the appeals proceeding and to grant permission to file a motion for a new trial. All right, let's bring this up. Oh, before we bring this up, Kaufman 921 bringing another $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Some less expensive but still tasty whiskeys I found are Elijah Craig finished in toasted barrels. Oh, that's a good whiskey. All the entire Elijah Craig line. I've got the Elijah Craig small batch, the single barrel, the rye. I've got some good, and yeah, so actually, we're going to be doing some Elijah Craig stuff here in the very near future. Elijah Craig it's a good, solid bourbon. Bullet Rye, I wouldn't give it to someone for their 25th birthday. But it's great for making old fashions and just drinking. It's a super good whiskey. And Suntory Toki, that's kind of up and coming. It's an up and coming Japanese whiskey. The Toki Japanese whiskey, it's not bad. It's roughly 35 to 40 a piece, but easy to drink neat. Elijah Craig is definitely easy to drink neat. It's a good whiskey. Bullet Rye is a little rough around the edges, a little sharp around the edges. Yeah, throw in some water or some ice, or use it in a cocktail like an old fashioned is great. I use Bullet Rye and Knob Creek Rye for most of my rye cocktails. If I'm using an old fashioned, I try to go with a Whistle Pig. But Suntory Toki Japanese whiskey it's an up and coming Japanese whiskey, and it's not that bad. It might be the next big thing in Japanese whiskey. So thank you so much for that, Kaufman 921. That is a great super chat. Deeply, deeply appreciated. Thank you. All righty then. Let's look at the prosecutions. We can't watch it because I don't have it pulled up yet. Where the hell is this? All right, come on. I need to embiggen this. Where are you? Embiggen. Motion. There we go. Got it. Your browser has blocked your screen. Well, intercourse you. Share screen. There we go. Right. Ooh, see, I'm not a redemption fan. Redemption Rye. Not a big fan. Nika whiskey from the hood. No, it's from the barrel. I prefer Irish. There's some great Irish whiskeys. You're right. All right, we won't devolve too far into whiskey. We need to do a whiskey stream, but not right now. So here we go. This is filed by the state of South Carolina. The state of South Carolina has filed their answer to, this is their return or the response to the motion to suspend appeal and for leave to file motion for a new trial. On September 5th, 2023, appellant moved pursuant to Rule 29B of the South Carolina Rules of Criminal Procedure to suspend his appeal and grant leave to file a motion for a new trial. Based on a blend of mixed allegations broadly directed at Colleton County Clerk of Court Rebecca Hill, the clerk, respondent would show as follows. A motion for a new trial based on after discovered evidence may not be made while the case is on appeal unless, so they're saying he can't do this while the case is on appeal unless the following conditions are met. Unless the appellate court upon motion has suspended the appeal and granted leave to make the motion. Well, that's what they've done. The defense has filed a motion to suspend the appeal and to grant them leave to make their motion. There can be no doubt that motions of this sort should be received with the utmost caution because, as is said by a learned judge, there are but few cases in which something new may not be hunted up, and also because it tends to prejudice the jury. So he's saying we need to be very cautious about this. It would have a mischievous tendency after all the evidence of the part of the state has fully disclosed to allow one with his life in danger an opportunity by the assistance of Confederates to procure unprincipled witnesses to contradict the evidence on the state and thereby defeat the ends of justice. Okay, let's read that BS thing here again. This is an actual statement from an actual case. It would have a mischievous tendency after all the evidence of the part of the state has been fully disclosed to allow one with his life in danger an opportunity by the assistance of Confederates to procure unprincipled witnesses to contradict the evidence on the part of the state and thereby defeat the ends of justice. Why are they talking so weird? They're talking so weird because this is State v. Harding, which was a case that was heard in 1800. That's why they're talking like they're from 1800, because they are from 1800. What this basically says is it's not a really good idea that after the case is finished to allow a group of people to come together and say, let's help out our buddy by finding witnesses who can change the jury's verdict on this case. That's kind of what they're saying. It's a bad thing to do. So to prevail on his request to suspend the appeal and to have the matter remanded to the circuit court to proceed on a motion for a new trial based on after discovered evidence, appellant must show 1, The evidence in question is such as will probably change the results if a new trial is granted. Or 2, the evidence has been discovered since the trial. 3, the evidence could not have been discovered prior to trial by exercise of due diligence. 4, the evidence is material to the issue of guilt or innocence. And so this "and" means it's not you have to show one of these things. You have to show all 5 of these things. And 5, the evidence is not merely cumulative or impeaching. The movant or the applicant must show that he did not know of the existence of such evidence at the time of trial, and that he used due diligence to discover such evidence, or that he could not have discovered it by the exercise of due diligence. A prima facie, that means on the face of it showing, just like looking at it. You just look at the documents, you go, okay, at least there might be something here. At least a prima facie showing of these factors is necessary before a remand to the circuit court can be granted. Lots more cases are quoted from 1973, 1896. It is essential to the consideration for a motion for a new trial based on after discovered evidence that such motion shall be supported by an affidavit of the accused himself. So they're saying, but before they can do this, they have to submit an affidavit from Alex Murdaugh himself. So unless a valid and sufficient reason for the omission to file such an affidavit is shown, the affidavit of the accused must show that he did not know of the existence of such evidence at the time of the trial, and that he used due diligence to discover such evidence, or that he could not have discovered it by the exercise of diligence. An affidavit of the appellant counsel showing these matters is not sufficient. So they're saying that Alex Murdaugh has to submit an affidavit saying that he didn't know about these allegations, he could not have known about these allegations, and he, even though he tried, he did his best to find out about things. It may well be that the suspension of the appeal and a remand for evidentiary hearing will be necessary. So they're saying, hey, it might very well be that we need a hearing on this to properly resolve some of the serious claims raised by appellant in the motion he intends to file. Objective investigation by SLED remains ongoing, but the inquiry has already revealed significant factual disputes as to the claims in appellant's motion. So they're saying, all right, we've already done, SLED is already doing their inquiry. And again, remember, SLED is investigating themselves. SLED is investigating someone that the state attorney general has called Miss Betty Boo, or whatever the hell he calls her. So he's saying that SLED has already found in their investigation, they've already found evidence that contradicts what Murdaugh's lawyers are saying. So the inquiry has already revealed significant factual disputes as to claims in appellant's motion. If no credible evidence can be found to support the claims brought by appellant, the state will be prepared to argue against the motion before the Honorable Clifton B. Newman on remand. However, at present, requests for a demand is procedurally defective. So they're saying, yeah, it might be necessary at some point to hold hearings, evidentiary hearings on some of these issues that are raised. But before we get there, just the application itself has problems. It's defective. A review of the motion does not reveal precisely when or how it is he learned of the claims he now raises. So we're saying in this motion to suspend the appeals and to grant permission to file a motion for a new trial, they haven't said when or how Alex Murdaugh learned that these alleged improper actions took place. So, and that's defective. It doesn't reveal how or when he learned of the claims he now raises, nor has the appellant, this Murdaugh, provided the affidavit. So Alex Murdaugh has not provided an affidavit required by De Angelis' previous judgment we just talked about. Appellant's counsels who have, however, made multiple statements to various media outlets indicating they were potentially aware of an issue with the jury at and about the time of trial. In a press conference on the steps of this court on September 5th, 2023, Counsel Harpootlian, responding to a question as to whether they saw the alleged conduct during the jury view or found out about it after the fact, replies, "I think we observed it. I was there. I watched it." Later at the same press conference, when a reporter asked if they approached the jurors or vice versa, Griffin replied that immediately in the aftermath of the verdict, we had received information that we needed to look into what happened in the jury room. In one interview with Good Morning America on September 6, 2023, Counsel Griffin states that soon after the trial, actually as soon as the verdict was rendered, we had gotten some indication from folks in the courtroom that there was something untoward that had happened in the jury room. We didn't know exactly what, and we went on a campaign to find out what. So accordingly, the state is compelled to move to dismiss due to procedural defect. So what's happening here is the state of South Carolina, the prosecution, the attorney general's office, whatever you want to say about them, they are saying we should dismiss this application to suspend the appellate proceedings and to allow the Murdaugh defense team to submit their motion for a new trial because it's defective. It's defective because it doesn't say how or when Murdaugh found out about these alleged misconduct items, and Alex Murdaugh has not submitted an affidavit as this other judgment requires him to do. So it should be dismissed, but the state would request, so before you dismiss this, we're requesting that it be dismissed, but before you dismiss this, the state would request that the court allow or grant the appellant leave of 10 days to correct the procedural defect and establish precisely when and how it is he first learned of these allegations. So they're saying, all right, look, we want this dismissed because it's procedurally defective, but we'll allow the opponents 10 days to tell us exactly when and how they learned about this and to submit an affidavit from Alex Murdaugh himself. So they're saying if they properly file this, if they rectify these procedural errors, in the event applicant properly files, remand may be necessary for the trial judge, the Honorable Clifton B. Newman, to consider the credibility of the claims in light of the significant factual disputes which undermine the credibility of the claims. So, I mean, this is a very big statement. They're saying, look, it's defective because he hasn't said exactly when or where he learned of these alleged defects, and he hasn't submitted his own affidavit. But if he does this, then this is the prosecution say, we may need to go look and have an actual hearing on some of these issues because these are very serious issues. So that's what that is currently where we stand. And this was submitted last Friday. So there's 10 days, which a week from this Wednesday will be the deadline, apparently, for the defense to submit anything else they have to allegedly rectify these problems, these procedural errors with filing the affidavit. So that's where we stand with the jury tampering thing. The prosecution has said, we deny all of this stuff. We want this dismissed, but because it's defective, but we'll allow them 10 days to fix any problems they have. So we'll have to see how all of this works out within the next 8 days. Now, the appeals court doesn't rule it. This is, we'll have to wait to see what happens in the next few days here. So things should be done soon. All righty. I think that wraps up our Murdaugh stuff for the day. Will be this Thursday. He's got some federal stuff coming up. A week from Wednesday should be a deadline for doing any rectification, assuming that the court, said that they need to rectify something. We don't know if the filing is actually defective yet. They need permission to file the that's what the motion we talked about last week was. They filed a motion to suspend the appellate proceedings and to allow them permission to file the motion for a new trial. So that has to happen. Then they'll file the motion that we read last week. The motion was attached as an attachment to the application. And so they'll have to submit anything they have to rectify any deficiencies by a week from Wednesday. Then the court will decide whether or not to suspend the proceedings, or they might order a response from the prosecution. We'll just have to see what happens within the next 8 or 9 days. Excuse me. Right. So the defense can do that, or they can file the they can say, okay, yeah, we're sorry. We're just going to have to wait to see what happens in the next week to 8 or 9 days. I'll keep you posted because it's interesting. All right, the last bit we've got. Oh my God, we've been through 3.5 hours. I wanted to be done an hour ago. This is real quick. This is some Sarah Boone shiz. Before we get into Sarah Boone shiz, Peace Peony with another $10 super chat, penance for derailing the stream. You don't have to pay penance for derailing the stream. I do that myself all the time for free. But I am sinking disturbingly. My mustache is being out of control, and I'm touching it excessively today. I didn't wax it today. I didn't put any shaping wax on it, so it's a wild Lorax stash. I do need to sit up more in my chair. I need to get my ass to sleep because I've got to be awake in 5.5 hours. Well, here we are. Okay, let's, wait a minute here. Let me get this. Thank you so much for that piece, Peony, by the way. Let's talk about Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone, the suitcase murder. Allegedly, she got an argument with her husband, and according to her, they were just playing hide and seek. And somehow he hid in a piece of luggage and suffocated. The prosecution say she got somehow convinced him to get in the luggage, zipped it up, and suffocated him to death. And there's some horrific audio out there of him screaming to be let out of the luggage and her just basically laughing at him. He's like, Sarah, let me say, yeah, that's how it feels when you cheat on me. Sarah, yeah, that's what you get. Sarah. And she's just like, shh. And allegedly maybe rolls him down the stairs, and he eventually ends up dying. But she has gone through 5 lawyers. 5 lawyers. She had a 6th lawyer appointed, and he was only there for a month, maybe a little more than a month. And she has written 2 letters to the judge. She writes these letters to the judge all the time. And she's complaining about her 6th lawyer. Her 6th lawyer made a motion to be released from representing her. And in his motion to be released as her counsel, he said, essentially, she's so out of it that the only way this thing is ever going to move forward, the only way she's ever going to be satisfied is if she represents herself. That is a strong statement for a lawyer to make. I've never, ever seen anything like that in a motion to withdraw as counsel. Usually they say irreconcilable differences. We don't communicate well, yada, yada, yada. This was her own lawyer, her 6th lawyer saying, the only way she's going to be happy is if she represents herself. So we're going to see a little bit of that hearing on his motion to withdraw as counsel. But before we get there, she's written 2 letters to the judge. Got a siren going on out there at 1:29 a.m. Right. Well, they're coming down this way. They're not going away. They're not sounding farther away. Oh, yeah, they're okay. Now they're going off in the distance. Sarah Boone's letter to her judge, Wayne C. Wooten. Let's embiggen Sarah. Oh, too big. It's too big, Sarah. It's so difficult to read women's handwriting for me. Judge Wooten, quote, how do you feel about your attorney withdrawing? During an attempted video visit by a misrepresented shifty reporter, this is how I was made aware of my attorney, Frank J. Brankowitz, cowardly, and for the 2nd time trying to ungracefully bow out of my care. And by the way, this is a long fucking letter. There's no way we can read all of this, I don't think. 16 freaking pages long. Ugh. Maybe we should just do this another day. Should we do this another day? Should we do this on Friday? We'll read. Okay. All right. I'm going to make a command decision. Because her first letter is 16 pages long. Her second letter is only 6 pages long. But that's still 22 pages of crazy. That's still 22 pages of crazy. All right, I'm going to make a command decision. We will read the letters of Sarah Boone possibly on Friday, if not Friday, over the weekend. So we won't do that right now because we'll never get out of here if I do that. So we'll save the week. Yeah, just go to bed, Jeff, for fuck's sakes. No, we're not going to bed yet. We're not going to go to bed yet. We're going to do the hearing. We'll watch the hearing. That's relatively short, but we'll read the letters Friday or over the weekend. So we'll get onto those. Yeah, we will read it later. And Hako $4.99 for the we'll call $5. Thanks for the extra long show. Always happy to have you in the background to help me through a Monday morning. Yeah, my Monday sucked. I like helping people through Monday mornings. If I can make people's Monday mornings a little better than my Monday morning, we're great. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your support. All right. What we're going to do is, to wrap this up, is we will watch. We're not going to read the horrific article, the letters. We'll read the letters later. We will rock you. Sarah, I seem to have closed the window here. We'll watch her status report hearing. Hang on. Let me bring up Law and Cuck. It's a YouTube. Law and Crime. Law and Crime channel. And crime. Russell Brand took so much of the time. Videos. Video killed the radio star. Where is you? Where are you, Sarah Boone? Let me search there. Use their search function. That'll get us her faster. Boone. La, 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 la. Why don't they do these in order of date? That's kind of dumb. Witch hunt, desperation, interview. I don't know how this got closed, but it did. Why is your business showing up? All right, this is dumb. Let me just go back over here and look through their video collection. I'm sorry. Somehow this thing ended up being closed. And I don't know how. Well, I know how I did it. I just don't remember doing it. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Lawyer quits on Sarah Boone. Okay, here we go. I got it. It's about 11 minutes long. We'll bring this up, and then we'll call it a Sarah Boone. Shh. Sarah Boone. I didn't close the window. I just don't know where it is. All right, here we go with Sarah Boone's most recent hearing. It was about 10 days ago.
The Boone case.
State of Florida versus Sarah Boone, 2020 CF 2603. State.
Dave Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Frank Bancourt.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Can I have JAC announce themselves as well?
Yes, Audrey Moore for JAC.
All right. So we have multiple matters scheduled this morning, one of which is
Welcome to
Mr.
my world,
Banquett's motion to withdraw. My reading of the law is I feel like I have to address that motion first and rule on that before I can address any other motions that would be
correct
heard today. So, Mr. Banquets, I'll start with you. Tell me why you're moving to withdraw.
Judge, the letters that have been coming to your honor, the derogatory berating of my services in this case, I can't effectively represent her. She doesn't trust me. She calls me a dud, I think, a buffoon, on and on and on and on.
And so those are the emails that we're gonna read later this week, where she calls him a dud and a buffoon and all these things. So he's like, she's saying all these horrible things about me. There's nothing I can do. I can't represent her.
And no one should have to endure that type of derogatory comments and expect to effectively represent someone, especially in a murder case.
Ms. Boone, I read your letter dated August 26, 2023, and your letter dated August 30th, 2023.
Those are the
Just
two
so we're
letters we'll
clear,
read.
I read all of the letters that you send to the court. Whether I respond or not is based on what's in the letter and whether I'm asked to actually do something that's within my purview as a judge or not. If I understand correctly, you have now decided that you think it would be best, in fact, if Mr. Bankwitz was allowed to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you understand by him withdrawing, I have to appoint another attorney. Do you understand that?
Do.
And that attorney is not standing here, so we're not going to be able to address, and I'll give the state a chance to talk to me as well. But assuming I grant this, we won't be able to address the other issues that were docketed for today, which means I'm going to have to reset your case for a later date. Do you understand that?
I'm not sure what items it is you're speaking of. I haven't received a copy yet of the letter.
So we're having a hearing today in regards to authorization for payment for an expert that your attorney believes he needs to defend you and the issue about the compensation of that expert, which is why JAC is participating today. I don't know if your next lawyer is going to think that that expert's the right person to use, or whether they're going to go a different route after consulting with you. And even if they did, they're not standing here. And once Mr. Bankwitz is out, he's out. He can't argue the motion. So do you understand that?
I fully understand.
Right.
All right. Mr. Cacciatore, normally the state takes no position in these issues, but there are limited circumstances when the state doesn't take a position. So are you taking a position on this motion withdrawal, Mr. Cacciatore?
No, this would be one of those times where we would be not taking a position.
All right. So I'm going to grant Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. I'm going to appoint
He's done. He's out of here.
Attorney Winston Hobson to represent Ms. Boone. In regards to the other matters scheduled today, I'm going to take no action on them at this time until Mr. Hobson can, well, in regards to the motion involving JAC, I'm simply going to take no action on that motion at this point in time until Mr. Hobson has a chance to review it and determine whether he wants to proceed with that motion. I will address the pretrial because today was also supposed to be pretrial. Here's what we'll do. Let me just get my calendar up.
Mm-hmm.
As far as pretrial conference,
Trial.
I'm going to set this case for pretrial conference on Tuesday, November 28th, and a trial period starting Monday, December 11th. I think any earlier period of time would be unrealistic for Mr. Hobson to get on board, get up to speed with the discovery, and determine how he wants to proceed in regards to any experts. But I will set a status hearing on the case prior to that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Look at your calendar, Judge. Come on.
I'll set a status hearing on the case Monday, October 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m. That'll be for the purpose of making sure that Mr. Hobson's on board, some sense of where he thinks things are. how realistic he thinks the November pretrial is, any other matters I need to address with him at that time. Now, Ms. Boone, in just a minute, they're going to take you back to the Orange County Jail. I'm going to suggest that you talk to Mr. Hobson about the various other issues you raised in your letter dated August 30th, 2023. One other thing I want to talk to you about, we had this conversation.
Now, this is an important thing he's bringing up here. He's like, yeah, you know, you don't get unlimited lawyers.
Once in the past. Clearly, your working relationship with Mr. Banquets was such that it deteriorated to the point where the two of y'all just couldn't work together to defend your case. So I'm not going to try to referee how that played out, why that unfolded the way it did. But one thing I want to caution you about, if this becomes a problem on another court-appointed attorney, I'm going to look more closely at what the alleged disputes are. You have a right to a court-appointed lawyer. There are certain decisions a defendant gets to make in the defense of their case that are absolutely theirs, such as whether they go to trial or not, such as whether they testify or not. But there are many decisions in a case that a lawyer gets to make. And while you certainly have a right to consult with your lawyer and discuss with your lawyer, they don't automatically just do whatever you say. They use their professional judgment and experience and look at the evidence, look at the law, and do the best they can. Also, you've got court-appointed counsel. As I've explained to you before, court-appointed counsel rarely have the luxury of representing one person.
Right.
And only having one case to focus on.
They usually
I
have
many
many
that
cases.
your expectations of what any court-appointed counsel might do as far as spending time with you and the depth and degree of communication may be unrealistic expectations. You always have the right to retain a lawyer to represent you, and then that's between you and that lawyer. You can demand whatever expectations that you have as part of that agreement. But when it's a court-appointed lawyer, you have to accept and understand that they have other cases, other courtrooms, other responsibilities. And I'm cognizant of that when I'm addressing these types of issues about communication. So that's just food for thought, nothing to do today. I don't need a response from you. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
Don't answer
and
that. I
thinking
just
about
want to
that
tell
as we
you.
proceeded forward. So again, the court minutes reflect that I'm court continuing pretrial. I have granted the motion withdraw. I have appointed Mr. Hobson to represent the defendant, and I'm taking no action on the motion, the ex parte motion for cost directed where GAC is responding. Ms. Boone will be returned to the Orange County Jail pending disposition of her case.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
I'm not able to say anything.
All right. Back to jail with you, young lady or elderly lady, whatever you are. And she goes back to the slammer. So that's kind of it.
I am just so stressed out because of this. I just don't want to deal with this anymore.
What a great witness Alejandro was. Was that his name, Alejandro? All right, so that was the status trial for Sarah Boone. Well, it wasn't a status hearing. It was a hearing on the motion to for a lawyer just to go away. And the court said, "All right, you're free. I understand. You can't work with her anymore. You are excused." And then he set the date for that wasn't October 2nd, was it? My brain is short circuiting. He just said it was December 9th, I think it was, right? It was December 9th. November 30th? I honestly just blanked. I'm just like dealing with a blank. So November 30th, I guess. October 30th. No, that's the next. Yeah, see, the October 30th is the status. The actual trial is what, November 9th, I believe, right? Was it December 9th? December 9th. Oh my God. I just heard it and my brain has just gone blank. What an idiot I am. Yeah. Yeah. Trial. Yeah. So the 9th is when the jury selection starts. The actual trial is December 11th. So there we go. Yeah. December 9th for jury selection. And then the trial would start on Monday the 11th. Oh, God. My brain. December 9th is a Saturday. What the fuck? All right, whatever. Trial December 11th. Sorry about that. My brain is just tired. Right. There we go. It's time for the law racks to go to bed. No, there's no maybe it's time for bed. It's time for bed. And Flux says, I like how she was like, am I able to say anything? Judge is like, nah, I don't need to hear from you. You don't need to answer. But so basically the judge says, all right, December 11th is when you're starting trial. That's at least, I mean, your lawyer is going to need at least that long. Your new lawyer, your 7th lawyer is going to need at least until December 11th to prepare for trial. But mind you, Ms. Boone, you don't have an unlimited number of lawyers. And you can't expect him to just spend all day, every day with you. He's busy doing other cases as well. So, fix yourself, adjust your expectations, be a little more realistic, and deal with it. So that's where we sit on that. We'll go back and, like I said, on Friday or over the weekend, we'll read these 2 letters that her lawyer was her 6th lawyer, not her 7th lawyer, her 6th lawyer was talking about being, calling him a dud, et cetera, et cetera. We'll read those 2 later. In the meantime, I guess that's it. We got through the very long Russell Brand thing. We got through the Alex Murdaugh, the 3 tiers of Alex Murdaugh, his co-conspirators, state financial crime sentencing, Murdaugh's status hearing, and the jury trial. The jury tampering allegations, the state's response to that particular motion. And we got through Sarah Boone's status. Tomorrow, we now have confirmation. Hopefully, Remy _legal, Chandler Remington, Aussie Overlord, and Megan. Megan is available for 1 hour. She's available for the first hour. So we'll have 1 hour Megan Fox tomorrow. We'll be doing it again on Wednesday. That'll be for the Johnny Depp Amber Heard sidebar readings. I believe it's day 14 we're on, day 15, day 14, I think. No, it's day 15. Day 15, day 16. I don't know. I haven't checked. But we'll be whatever the next installment is. Then Wednesday, we'll do another installment of Johnny Depp Amber Heard sidebar readings. Thursday will be O.J. Simpson that we do every Thursday, me and Chandler Remington. Friday's kind of open at this point. We'll just see whatever current events come up. Next Monday, on Saturday morning, my time, Friday evening, U.S. time, will be The Unexplained with Flux. Hopefully, Danny on Direct will be joining us. We'll be talking about the shortwave radio numbers stations. It's just these stations that if you listen to them, if you can find them somewhere on the shortwave radio band, it's just 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 4, beep, 6, 8, 7, 9, 4, 3, 2, 7, beep, 8, 9, 5, 6. We'll be talking about what that is. And then next Monday, hopefully next Monday, if not next Monday, then the following Monday, I'll be having an interview with the founder of Nomadic Watches in Belfast, Ireland, talking about the history of his watch company, his maritime adventures, and the history of Belfast, Ireland in the maritime realm. And one of the big things is one of the famous shipyards in Belfast, Ireland. Many people don't know, built the Titanic. So we'll be talking a lot about that with the founder of Nomadic Watches, either this coming Monday or the Monday following. Mods, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, your moddy goodness. We could not do this without you. I would not want to do this without you. You mods are the greatest mods ever. Chat, you are the greatest chat on the internet. The Vice Squad chat is hands down, without question, the best. I love you. I respect you. I love all of you. We may not agree on everything, but you are always welcome here with all your divergent viewpoints, all of your contradictions, everything. You don't agree. I don't like preaching to the choir. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the support. I'm looking right now to where we can send us. Who is streaming now and where do I want to send you? Currently, redirect is enabled for Law Talk with Mike, the Broken Baker. Let's go to Law Talk with Mike, everybody. Tell Law Talk with Mike you've got a Legal Vices raid. He doesn't pay a lot of attention. He might not see it. Just tell him Legal Vices sent you anyway. All right, everybody. On that note, I'm going to be out of here until tomorrow when, as I have just said, Ozzy Overlot, Chandler Remington, and Megan Fox will be joining us for more Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard sidebar readings. And this is Amber Heard's testimony, and the judge gets very, very upset with Elaine Bredehoff on sidebars. You don't want to miss this. Tomorrow, dramatic readings of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard sidebar. Until then, it's me, Legal Vices, the Law Racks, saying whatever you do, whoever you do it with, whatever you're doing, however many times you do it, etc., 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 just make sure that you always, without exception, do your very best to enjoy your legal vices.
How dare you?
Law Racks out.